Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept our humble obeisances. Anchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you for being on time. So we continue our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th Canto. Yesterday we covered an overview of the first chapter about Priyavrata Maharaj. So we have seen how he gets convinced by Lord Brahma to accept this responsibility, although he didn't want to. But he understood this is the plan of the Lord, so he accepted. And then he had children, then with two different wives, extraordinary children. And then finally, after so many almost inconceivable activities, such as creating a new sun to dissipate the darkness, and when the sun was not shining there, and also to create impressions where the different oceans of Bhumandala will take place. And we also learned that he lived for more than 1 billion years. So certainly a very extraordinary personality. Then finally, his detachment. I mean, he was always attached to Krishna, obviously, but even externally, his detachment was manifested. He leaves everything to his sons. Put them in charge, different places, and then we started discussing Agnidra, who is in charge of Jambudvipa. We've seen how he wanted to have a son. I mean, for Kshatriyas, it's important to have sons to keep the succession going. Succession in every community, both business community or religious community, it's a very crucial issue, because when you have a leader who does good things, and I repeat, at every level, it could be a sport club, or it could be a company, corporation, or it could be a religious group. And so you need succession. In fact, many religious groups especially suffer because they don't find the right succession. See, in a company, more or less, if you pay enough money, more or less, there's a good chance you get a good CEO, because there's a market of people. But in religious, you cannot just say hire a CEO. People need to see this person as qualified and inspiring, especially when they compare him to the previous one, him or her, the previous one. Now, in this case, Agnidra is not running a religious organization, is running an administration of a kingdom on a planetary level. So it's a little different. Still, they need to they need to satisfy the citizens ultimately. And we saw that Agnidra, whoever we could say shortcomings from pure devotional service he had, the Bhagavatam says he was a very good king. He had this mood of protecting the citizens like a father. So people felt good with him. Now he wanted a child, and it's explained that he had this mixed devotional service, you could say. So he goes to this place to meditate, and he appeals to Lord Brahma. And he does austerities, he does meditation. So we could see that even though he had material desires, he performs his duty in a very, we could say, Vedic way. So when we say Vedic, of course, we understand not all Vedic things are spiritual. or not all Vedic things are devotional. Vedic simply means according to a certain body of literature, body of knowledge. Just like Krishna Bhagavad Gita says, some people are so attracted by the Vedic flowery words, but basically they're materialistic people. They just want to enjoy in Svargaloka. So similarly, to some extent, to a limited extent, but also Maharaj Agnidra was in that category. So yesterday we have seen how even those who want to go to Pitriloka, he wanted to become a Pitrilokavasi. He wanted to become a Pitri in Pitriloka. And Srila Prabhupada explained that generally the inhabitants of Pitriloka are karmakandiyas, basically Vedic karmis. To be pious, religious in the sense of obedient to different rules, but their desire is to enjoy. So they need a son, because unless a son does all this offering of Vishnu Prasada, they will not remain there. Okay. So we could go to we are in chapter 2 and text number 3, unless somebody has any question from yesterday. We see the hand of Rukmini Haris Sevini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, Pitralok is like a place for ancestors who leave the body and go there. If I'm, please help me to understand. And second question. Okay.
Well, not all ancestors. Krishna explains, Yanti Deva Vrata Devam Pitrin Yanti Pitrim Vrataha. So Srila Prabhupada often gives the analogy that according to the worship, the analogy is according to the flight ticket you buy, you go to the place, right? If you in Delhi, you buy a ticket to Kolkata, you go to Kolkata, or to Chennai, or to New York. So it's just like in this world, there is a destination, there is a process, right? Just like to go to Calcutta, you just need your other card, and that's enough. If you want to go to New York, you need a passport, you need a visa. So depending on the destination, you need certain prerequisites. So to go to Pitriloka, you need to have done certain specific rituals. And Krishna explained, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, if you worship ghosts, you go in that dimension. So ancestors literally simply means people who lived in our family before us. But it's not automatic that all the people lived in our family before us, they go to Pitriloka. Only very qualified, pious people. It's a higher planet. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Some of our ancestors may end up as animals.
Yes.
Maybe not your ancestors, but some of mine, possibly. So, second question.
Yes, and Prabhuji, we are talking about so this he is so means that if I am so intelligent, I would not. If I am so intelligent, I
Yeah.
would not desire to go to Pitraloka. So how to understand that Maharaj is going there? Because these sons are not an ordinary. They are very elevated. So
Yeah, okay. We addressed that issue yesterday, and Srila Prabhupada quoted a Bhagavatam commentator saying that he had these desires. This is Goswami Giridhara. He says that Agnidra was born when Maharaj Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. So as we know, the consciousness of the parents at the time of uniting attract certain souls. So Priyavrata, of course, was extraordinary, was a great devotee and everything, but apparently, specifically at the time he produced Agnidra, his consciousness was maybe not 100% in Prema Bhakti, we could say. Okay, so he got this soul, which is pious and everything, but he also has his attachment. As far as intelligence, intelligence is very precious because intelligence is like, it's like a compass. Through intelligence, okay, this is a good direction. But there is also a competition to intelligence. Like Krishna Bhagavad Gita explains that there are different degrees of lust. And he's also say that lust inhabits different parts of the body, inhabits the senses, inhabits the mind, and it may also inhabit the intelligence. So intelligence is good, but then you got to see that it's not deviated, is not distracted, is not diverted, or is not disoriented by the kama, by desire. So sometimes intelligent people, due to the lower gunas or other contaminations, then they make bad decisions. So intelligence is like money. Money is valuable, but we also need to know how to use it. So if somebody like Maharaj Agnidra, and again, still within the context of Vedic knowledge, very highly cultured and everything, but he used his intelligence because I want a son and I'm going to this particular place to meditate and I worship Brahma. So he's using his intelligence to fulfill certain desires. Okay.
Thanks.
So in this universe, there is place for everyone. Place for the Nagas, the place for Rakshasas, the place for ghosts. This is the world. It's like a big shopping mall, karma shopping mall. You can find anything, you can become anything. Okay. There was a hand by Amarendra Hari Prabhu.
Prabhuji, we have Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
yeah, audible, yes.
Prabhuji, you have read that the Pitri Loka is nearby Yampur or nearby Patal Loka, Prabhuji. So it is in Bilva Swarga. So there are two types of Swarga I have listened, Prabhuji. One is Bilva Swarga, who is down to the our planet, and one is upper level Swarga, is upward from our
Yes,
planet.
yes. In few chapters, you will be studying more in detail the cosmology of the Bhagavatam. And as you are introducing, yes, there are heavenly planets, meaning place of enjoyment, which are considered higher planets, and higher planets meaning even we could say geographically higher planets. But there are also heavenly planets in subterranean region, like Nagaloka. These people, they enjoy very much, like it was a heaven, but they're not pious. So yeah, there are different heavenly planets or different places of enjoyment situated in different places. But I'm sure you're not asking because you are interested to go there, right? Right. You're a brahmachari, you have to go to Krishna Loka. Okay, we have Antaryami Balaram Das and is better off.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, when we read about these topics in the Bhagavatam, the first about cosmology, then in the previous cantos, we also hear the description of what comes from where, hatred comes from here, envy comes from there. When we read through all of that, even when we try to understand and grasp it, usually I'm not able to understand much of it, like cosmology. Even when we have the description of the dynasties, one after the other, we have names being repeated or told in the ninth canto. So I'm not able to understand most of it, how much ever I may try. So what is the approach, the right approach to these topics, Prabhuji? Should we try more to grasp them, or is it okay if we understand, yes, they've been given for a reason, and not, I mean, if I can't understand, I can't understand.
Okay. There are certainly things which are beyond our experience and therefore beyond our comprehension. I mean, we all know the story of the Dr. Frog, right? That there was these two frogs were friends, and one goes and visits a ocean, Pacific Ocean, and then he comes back to this well, and this Dr. Frog, or this normal frog, whatever, I don't know if he was fully graduated, but this frog he basically says, okay, how is this big Pacific Ocean? It's double this well. This well was just, maybe 2 meters diameters. And he said, no, it's much bigger. So what, 10 times? 10 times bigger? No, much bigger. So, okay, 50 times. So it was just trying from his own limited experience, because the well was its meter of comparison. But obviously there are literally millions and billions of volumes of that well in the Pacific Ocean. So he couldn't understand. He didn't, because it was beyond his experience. I mean, even on this planet, if you go, there are some very remote places, say, for instance, in Indonesia, or in Papua New Guinea, or even in India. No, there are those, you probably know, there are those little islands in the Andaman Nicobar system, that there are people still living in the Stone Age. And so the government completely forbidden anybody to go. In fact, they're quite dangerous because they just hate foreigners for some reason. And they live in the Stone Age. And so for them, if you go there and say, look, there is something like a phone, right? And the phone tells you the time, and the phone you can call 1,000 kilometers and speak, or 10,000 kilometers, and then you can do so many things. For them, it's just fantasy. They just don't have access, they don't have experience, so it looks like it's not even looking like science fiction, because they don't even have the concept of science fiction. It's just something fantastic, divine, or something completely inconceivable. So yeah, there are this world, in fact, it is basically inconceivable. There is a difference between the approach to cosmology, astronomy, of, say, the materialist, the modern approach, and the Bhagavatam approach, because the materialistic people study the universe, study physics. First of all, they don't understand anything anyway. I mean, I'm not oversimplifying. They do not understand how this universe work. Okay, there are so many theories. These are scientists. These are not some crackpot or some conspiracy theorists. They're scientists from reputable universities. And different people have different theories. Some are the concept of parallel universes. Some of the concept of a Big Bang from nothing. Some of the concept of a universe that expands and contracts. And still, they don't really know what's in the universe. There's so many things that they can't explain how they work. Okay, if you read even YouTube, there are so many videos about this. So even materially, people don't understand the universe. Krishna says divine. We can say material because it's inert, it's not Shakti, it's Jara Tattva. But even Jara Tattva, it's inconceivable. Even Jara Tattva is Daiva. So the difference in the approach is that the materialistic people try to control this universe, try to control matter, try to control Prakriti. So their measurement, their attempt at understanding is to use it for, say, sense-gratification or going to other planets, not in the Vedic way. So we read, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they want to go to Mars. They're trying to kind of control, experience, enjoy these places, or many people try to. There was this movie recently, Oppenheimer, and it explains the history of the first atomic bomb, right? And so you see the scientists trying to get to the atom to basically win the war and kill a lot of people. So the approach of the materialistic people is to understand the cosmos, both microcosmically or macrocosmically, to control and enjoy. Ishwaroham aham bhogi. Now, the mood of the Bhagavatam, that means Shukadeva Goswami Maharaj Parikshit, is more like a meditation, an appreciation of Krishna's energy. So Maharaj Parikshit is dying in a few days. He's not trying to go to the moon or try to go anywhere, especially in a materialistic way. It's like a starship or something. I won't make jokes on India going to the moon, but because, I don't know, some of you might still be in ecstasy due to that. But okay, they are not trying to control the universe. They're trying to appreciate the universe as Krishna's energy, as an expression of Krishna's energy. So, and I repeat, there are different souls have access to different aspects of the material world. And we on this earth, especially in Kali Yuga, we only have access to this earth. And even this earth, we have very limited access. We don't even know what's inside the earth. We live on this earth. We don't know. There are different theories, right? There's a nucleus, there's a hot, this and that, but we don't know. In fact, the Bhagavatam explains how there are so many dimensions that we don't even understand. And these are in every culture. So it's not just you could say Indian thing. Like when Arjuna was taking bath in the place, then Ulupi, the Naga princess, she brings him down. And she doesn't just bring it down to the bed of the river, but she brings down to a different dimension, to Nagaloka. Then they get married. So, and this is in every culture of the world. In China, there are places like they say there's a cave, we go there, then you go in some very special place. And there are so many dimensions, even in this world. In Iceland, for instance, people are very close, in great proximity with these old little creatures like elves and things. And they have experience. I mean, even nowadays, like there was a man who wanted to construct something, and some of the elves came to him and said, please, we are living there. Give us, say, a month. We move, and then you build. No. And the science can't explain elves, right? Even the science is still many scientists don't even accept ghosts, right? Which is kind of basic. Like everybody knows a ghost exists. Huh? So there is so much ignorance to different dimensions, even on the human level. Even on this earth, there are so many mysteries. And so what to speak higher dimensions? So yes, the Bhagavatam. So it depends on depends also what your definition of understanding is. One definition of understanding, it may not be the dictionary definition, but understanding means standing under. Understanding, standing under. In other words, You accept. Okay, you stand under. Okay, okay. I may not have access. I may not have this experience, but yeah, these are realized souls, and they have access. I mean, you even I mean normal Indian tradition. You know, some yogis they go inside, say Ganga in Gangotri, and they come out in Kapilashram in Bay of Bengal. You know, everybody knows these things, right? But how they do? How they do? They do through accessing certain subtle laws, mystic powers, and so on. Basically, in India, kind of everybody knows about these things. Maybe they don't think about these things, but it's just part of the culture. See, the Vedic culture, Bhagavatam is like a map. Map meaning it's like when you go Google Map. Okay, you want to know, say you Google Map Vrindavan, and okay, how to get to Vrindavan? Okay, I go to Faridabad or whatever. So you got that map, and then you realize, yeah, it's true. I went from my house in Delhi to Vrindavan, so it was true. This this line on my phone is true. There is a highway, and there is this place and that place. So you see that. Now, you may not check the whole map, the whole India. You don't have to check the whole India. You know that, okay, Google Map is accurate. So you don't have to go, oh, I also want to check, is this Agra really there? I want to go. And then, oh, I want to go, this Rajasthan is really there. I want to go. No, it doesn't work like that. You follow. So you accept a source of knowledge. This is basic pramana, epistemology. You accept, okay, Google Map gives me an accurate description of this earth, and I trust it, even if I don't see everything. So similarly, devotees start getting realizations intellectually, spiritually, how they're not the body, they're not the mind, how although they may not do sinful activity, in fact, less they do sinful activity, more they become happy, and they have access, say, to the holy name, and they practice chanting, they feel happy and so on. So they understand this map. I have experience of this part of the map, and it works, and it makes sense. And so the rest must be also okay. And these personalities, especially, these personalities are personalities who are reliable because they're not attached. No, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they don't have material ambitions. In fact, the opposite. They were super materially qualified, but they gave up. Tyaktva turnam ashesha mandala pati. Tuchavat. They gave up like it was insignificant. They were rubbing elbows with the kings. And the king, especially this Nawab, the Nawab of West Bengal, was very powerful. He would just like to go and hunting deers and things like that. He would just leave everything to Sanatana Goswami. Basically, he was running the country. But he gave up, and he became a beggar in Vrindavan. So, in other words, he's a person you can trust, right? Because you can see that he doesn't have material desires, and is even very, very, very careful on the subtle level, means on introspection, on desires, on ambition, on art. This is very, 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 very clean, very pure. I mean, we could talk much more, but basically these are some considerations. And I repeat, even if you just study this earth, there are so many different dimensions. You have the person who drives a rickshaw in Delhi all day in the smog, getting a cancer of the lungs. And then you have somebody who has a private jet. It just or private helicopter. He just flies wherever he wants, whenever he wants. So these are the same human beings, but you see they have different powers and access to different things, even on this planet. Okay, so we have a chat here. Jai, Rukmini Arisevni says Jai. Okay, we don't disagree. Thank you. Okay, let's continue a little bit. So we have this Agnidra and the Mandara Hill. Oh, one thing I wanted to add. See, Sadaputa Prabhu also explains that I really love this book, cosmography, Vedic cosmography and astronomy. I gave you I gave you a link. You can buy in Amazon, or you can just read it for free in the Internet Archive. It's such a beautiful book because it really explains all these things in details with plenty of examples. And he explains also in other books how sometimes these descriptions describes different things at the same time. And this they can do that because again the concept is not measurement in the terms of so you can control, you can make a bomb or something like that. It's more understanding the universe as a magnificent expression of Krishna energy. Okay, so a third verse, this is from the translation, understanding King Nidra's desire. The first and most powerful created being of this universe, Lord Brahma, selected the best of the dancing girls in his assembly, whose name was Purvachiti, and sent her to the king. Srila Prabhupada explains how Brahma knows. Brahma knows through Paramatma. Paramatma informs him of what's what. So Brahma understands, okay, this Agnidra wants this, so he sends Purvachiti. And then there is a long description, very detailed description how they meet. This Apsara starts strolling in a beautiful park. Then there is a description how her feminine charms starts manifesting. The ankle bell sound. Then Srila Prabhupada saying in text number 6, one who is serious about going back home, back to Goddess, should not contemplate the attractive features of women and the opulence of rich men. Such contemplation will check one's advancement in spiritual life. Now, this contemplation of especially women is like the national sport of this planet. Because, I mean, some countries like India, they like cricket. In some other country, they couldn't care less about cricket. In some country, they like, say, baseball. In some other country, they couldn't care less about baseball. More or less, everybody likes football, more or less. But basically, some people don't even care about football. They just don't care. Right? But the contemplation of the form, especially through pornography, it's like the planetary pastime. See, before in, say, 200 years ago, to get access to contemplation of a woman, either you had to go through prostitutes, which also cost money, besides you may lose your reputation because you're in a village, the people know, oh, you're going to the prostitute house, so people are a little bit careful. Plus, or you got to get married. In some countries, like the Middle East, you couldn't even see the form of a woman before you get married because they're all covered, right? So, but now, and then there was no movies, so there were no videos, and gradually, it became more and more prominent. If you study the history of movies in India, at the beginning, just started basically in the 20s, and 70% of all Indian movies were devotional, or about Rama, Vishnu, or Durga, Shiva, all like Puranic in nature, 70%. And then slowly, you can actually trace, not only in India, throughout the history of movies, how the first kiss, even the first kiss was a major scandal, right? Then the first breast. And now basically, even in normal movies, there are pretty explicit scenes. But what I was thinking to emphasize is like now, even children, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, they're not even developed as adults, but still they have access to all sorts of sexual perversion and permutations. And it's a really a problem of the species as a species, because see, animals, they have it better because animals, they only go in heat certain time of the year, right? A tiger, for instance, go into heat only every 2 years. That's why tiger also are disappearing, because they don't reproduce much, right? But anyway, so they have like many animals, many mammals, they have their time of reproduction in the year. And the next year, they don't really think about sex, okay? But humans are different. Humans can always think about sex. There was a kind of a joke that became a successful business. One person wrote a book, what male men, what man thinks when they're not thinking of sex. There was this book, and the book was like 200 pages, and they were all empty. So you see the book, what one man thinks when they don't think about sex, and then you open a book, there is nothing. So people would buy it to use as an agenda, as use as a notepad. Of course, this is an oversimplification. Men also think of booze, of alcohol, like think of sports, of cricket, so they also think of very elevated things. But sex is like the almost like the default setting. And pornography makes even children hooked to this. Because the female form, especially the female form, is very attractive, is built in a way that is very attractive. In fact, in traditional magazines, you see that men's magazines are full of women, and women's magazines are also full of women. Women's magazine of fashion is full of women, and men's magazine is full of women. So as a species, we like to see the female form. Yes, also the male form and this and that, but mainly is the female form. It's just designed. So we see in the story of Purvachiti how it's really designed to capture the mind, especially of the men, but even other women. Even other women think of how other women dress. See, a male doesn't think how other males dress. But they just don't care, okay? They just don't care. But women will always think how other women dress. I'm sure we are all Vaishnavis, Sadhuini, Yoginis, Bhaktinis, whatever. But I'm sure naturally, when you come on Zoom, you'll see how other women are dressed. Not in a morbid way or any way. It's just the nature. You got to see how other women are dressed, and oh, she put that sari. Oh, yeah, that's the same sari she wore in Janmashtami. I remember, like that. It's like that. It's a form. It's you get the human form in a female form. That's how your brain works. Not sinful. It's just okay. It's like that. Anyway, so Srila Prabhupada says we should not contemplate the female form, because it's got this attraction that one absorbs in that, and then one is reborn again. Because if you want to enjoy that form, either if it's somebody else female form or your own female form. So if you want to enjoy the female form, you got to be reborn. And, just like Brahma, okay, Agnidra, of course, is a great king. So, okay, the best Apsara, Purvachiti, go there. But, you can always, in different forms of life, there is always some attractive female forms. Anyway, it's a bit of a parenthesis, but because Srila Prabhupada talks about that. Then, it seems that even Agnidra, this is not really clear. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada stresses one aspect, sometimes stresses another aspect. Here it says that Agnidra was so much in meditation, it wasn't even clear if this is a woman or a brahmachari or something. So there is this play. I don't know if it's ambiguity or some sort of diplomacy. At one point, Srila Prabhupada towards the end explained Agnidra was very expert in flattering women. And women like to be glorified. And somebody says, "Oh, you're so beautiful," they like very much. Generally, I'm talking always generally. So there is this whole exchange, which is very, very material. Okay. Sometimes I heard an explanation, but why the Bhagavatam speaks about this so much. Sometimes you could see that a lot of this chapter is dedicated to this. So why? One devotee explained, well, it's like when a yogi goes to Vaikuntha, he sees all the attractions on the different planets. So if this yogi is attracted to a planet, he can go to and get stuck on that planet. So these descriptions are also like a test for us. Okay, we are talking about Krishna, we are talking about yogis, we're talking about Narada Muni and so on. But then we talk also about woman. How attracted are you to this description, which is almost erotic in nature? How are your mind is attracted? Is really what is the most important, the most attractive part of this whole section? Or okay, you can see with a little degree of detachment. So it's kind of a test, especially on an age where there was no videos, photos, and things. It just you read about these things. Okay, so then because he's confused, apparently he's confused, not sure how much he's confused, how much is kind of playing. He says, "Oh, best of saintly person, who are you? Why are you on this hill? And what do you want to do? Are you one of the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You seems to be carrying two bows without strings. What is the reason you carry these bows?" Srila Prabhupada explains, the material world is like a great forest, and its inhabitants are like forest animals, such as deer and tigers meant to be killed. The killers are the eyebrows of beautiful women. Captivated by the beauty of the fair sex, all the men of the world are killed by bows without strings, but cannot see how they are killed by Maya. Yeah, you can see that. I mean, maybe not you, because you are all yoginis and sadhuinis, but you can see that women in general spend a lot of time and money and pain to get their eyebrows done. It's one of the kind of, I don't know, it's really a major absorption. And can I tell you, as a man, I'm not, and it's not as a Bhagavatam teacher or anything, as a man, sometimes women cut those eyebrows too much. Because they look artificial. When they're too thin, I'm expressing a personal aesthetic evaluation, okay? It's nothing divine. But sometimes women cut their eyebrows so thin that they look really artificial. anyway, do whatever you want with your eyebrows, but I know that for many women, it's like a major thing. If they don't do their eyebrows, they feel that they cannot go in public. And sometimes I don't see even a difference before and after. They say, "Oh, I did my eyebrows." Really? I don't know. For me, it's the same. And there is a lot of pain, right? You got to sometimes pull these things, and they have all these techniques with this wire. And it's also costly. How much it costs in Delhi to do eyebrows? Don't
100,
under
100 bucks.
100 rupees. How often one has to do it in general, average?
Once in 2 months.
Once in 2 months. Yes. So that's the sadhana. Okay. So, but anyway, there is pain. There is pain in doing it, and there is pain in thinking that my eyebrows are not okay. There's pain in that. But here, obviously, the philosophical thing is that they're like bows without strings, and these bows, Krishna gave the power to attract, no, by different expressions. So they have a lot of power. In fact, especially in countries where, like in Muslim world, sometimes you only have the eyes. So there is the whole science of using the eyes in an attractive way, because you can only see the eyes and the eyebrows. So we have some questions. I hope not on the latest fashion in eyebrows, but please tell me. Rukmini, are you saving?
Prabhuji, again, I want to ask that Maharaj Agnidhara, when Purvachitti is there, so it's coming in my mind that why this thing is there. So, being a sadhaka, how should I understand that I'm not have get attracted, as you already mentioned, that if we go to a higher, we are preparing for go to back home, back to Godhead. So this chapter is there, and this is coming. So like I have to do, what I have to take from this learning, what learnings I have to take from this. So I have to prepare myself that not to get attracted. This is like just to, I have to see just on the bodily platform that Purchit is coming, and the description we are talking about, and all these things like that female body, like about female, that the body is like designed in this way that they are attractive. So if we go there, so we have to come above of all these things. So what shall I take?
Well, see, a Bhagavatam gives different types of examples. Like there is pravritti and nivritti, right? Some is do these things. Some are exemplary things, like Maharaj Ambarish. They say, okay, you use all the senses for Krishna, right? So that's a very good example. Some other examples, they have so many examples of also doing things in the wrong way. Now you see Indra making so many blunders. He offends his guru, and then he tries to kill all the Vrijvasis, So the Bhagavatam gives the whole spectrum. It's not only, okay, pure devotion, pure devotion, pure devotion, that's it. Yes, that's the goal. Krishna Prema is the goal. But you also need to see the obstacles. So obviously, attraction, this case to Purvachitti, it's a major obstruction, it's a major obstacle. So we need to understand this. So here is just like Sukadeva Goswami describes the forest of material enjoyment, right? There is this person who goes through the forest, and there are these jackals and tigers attacks him, and the bees are biting him. So the Bhagavatam opens our eyes to this reality. So for a materialistic man, seeing the eyes of a woman, it's just okay. Oh, he likes to see the eyes of a woman, her expressions, the play of the eyebrows, like that. And there is the whole industry based on that. Hollywood, Collywood, Sandalwood. There is the whole industries based on that, and they pay this as actresses, right? For a few years, 10, 15 years, these actresses are very well paid. So why? This is just to contemplate. Even if it doesn't get to the point of seeing the naked person, even all these dances, these eyes, there's the whole industry. People spend millions of crores to see women dancing and women. So, but one who is not intelligent or not trained, he thinks, oh, so nice. Yeah, I like Bollywood, whatever star or starlet is now up, because they always change. I remember when I came in India in the 80s, the kind of was Sri Devi. Remember Sri Devi? Now is dead, I think.
No,
Dead.
no,
Sri Devi is dead. Huh?
she's not. No, no, she
She's
has
not
left.
dead.
No,
She's
no.
left the bus. So when I came, it was Sri Devi was like a big whatever, charming. Now it's somebody else. After 20 years, will be somebody else because they have a shelf life. We can't just be forever. Let's see. Unless they change completely the role, like Amitabh Bachchan. He was like the heartthrob of the whole, but then now he's like the grandfather of the whole India. Sometimes they switch. They switch. Some of these actors they can't switch. They don't know. They can only do the attractive woman. You follow? They can't do the grandmother anymore. Anyway, so yeah, so the Bhagavatam is teaching us the facts of life. And for a materialistic, oh, so nice, I can go to the movie and or Netflix or whatever and see all these beautiful eyebrows play, and yeah, it really kind of fills me with enthusiasm, fills me with agitation, fills my mind. And but the Bhagavad tells you, look, these eyebrows are bows. They should be called eyebows, not eyebrows, because they kill. They capture the animal and then it's finished. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Thank you. It's really, I'm just thinking that I made a mistake because I'm very less intelligent, so I'm always afraid to ask the question. But whenever I ask you, it's like, I was thinking that I missed so much that I should have asked it because when I get the answers, it's like totally clear my doubt. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you found something useful. So we have the Jaipur Vasis, the Jaipur Tirtha Yatris.
So, Prabhuji, I was thinking that like we were discussing that the world today is very different from what it was probably when I was a child. And so when we preach to, or when we are cultivating younger lot, or we have children at home, so their world is very different from ours. And when we talk about these things as being detrimental to spiritual growth or spiritual life, because they are born in our family, so they already have a certain amount of, we can call it devotional quota or devotional qualities, but they tend to get very confused because their normal world, they are going to, like, I have a 14-and-a-half-year-old daughter. She goes to a regular school. She's interacting with boys there. Things are the way for them, their normal is very different from our normal. So when we try to negotiate what is better or best for their spiritual growth, sometimes it's very difficult to explain to children that this is not how we should be thinking. So I'm just wondering if there is a way to, especially for youngsters, for teenagers, is there a way we should be dealing with the situation? We can't afford to appear to be too fanatic. We can't afford to let them try everything and then hope and pray that they don't fall into the trap. We can't do that also. So what is the right methodology?
Depends a lot also on the nature of the child or the teenager. Some people enjoy hearing these things. They open their mind. They feel they're receiving something special. They know that people are like almost like sheep, right? They all do the same thing. They think of cricket. They think of movies. Now, it depends also the environment, right? and they have certain heroes, and basically it's all crazy. It's all crazy. I mean, I was reading in an article that they made a study in a school of Mumbai, and there were 25 students, and they asked, who is your hero? Who is your political leader who you think is the best? And of 25 people, 9 chose Hitler. And of all them, the only one chose Gandhi. Just saying. And these are Indian teenagers. And I know I studied the topic. India's got a special a relation with Hitler, which is inconceivable in the rest of the world, because India, in Hitler, in the rest of the world is like the epitome, the example of evil. There's nothing worse than Hitler. But in India, Mein Kampf, that the book of Hitler is sold like hotcakes by many different publishers. So anyway, so even politically, there are very, very strange ideas on who is a great man politically. So, an intelligent devotee, I mean, devotee child, he will appreciate. Obviously, as you said, it's difficult. It's very difficult, because that's why I stress so much Gurukula, I stress so much full immersion Krishna conscious schools, because it's difficult. It's like you want to start a fire underwater. You want to start the fire of Krishna consciousness, of bhakti, of devotional service, dedication to a guru in a completely hostile environment. Maybe not hostile that the people say, oh, no, 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 no. Not, but hostile because they all go in a different current. And even the sane ones, they all think of getting a job and go work, maybe go to America, depending on the field, of course. So it's completely the opposite of what Prahlad Maharaj said, that Kumara Acharya Pragyo Dharmam Bhagavata is exactly the opposite. So it's very difficult. And as parents, sometimes we want to be protective, but sometimes we also become oppressive, and people feel that we should, okay, I got it, I got it, please, enough, mata pita, okay, I got it, okay, it's all mine, fine. And even Chanakya Pandit explains that there are different ways of dealing with children, different stages. Up to 5, you're very loose, lenient. Lenient doesn't mean they can do anything. Lenient means, okay, if they're hungry, they eat anytime, morning, evening, night, they eat. If they're 3-year-old, you don't say, no, it's not time for it. They're hungry, they eat. They're sleepy, they sleep. Now, from 5, then Chanakya Pandit say from 5 to 16, you got to be very strict, because you got to mold the character, give values, sometimes punishment, okay? Always lovingly, but sometimes you got to make clear what's right and wrong. Now, I hear from teachers and parents that 16 year is not valid anymore. Now it's more like 11, 12. Chanakya Pandit say from 16, you got to deal as a friend, like a peer. Yes, you're more experienced, you're the father, mother, but like a friend. Not like, not like with the stick in the hand, not like with the finger. A friend. You can discuss things more. Okay, what do you think? What I think? No, then it's up to you, really. But it seems that the age from the time of Chanakya Pandit, it decreased. So now maybe 11, 12, 13. So you got to be friendly. And and I mean, it's not their fault you put them in the schools, right? So you put them in those schools, and then you can't criticize that the whole school is Maya, right? Otherwise, it's like almost like a cognitive dissonance or contradiction. So you can explain as a, look, we have our limits as a society, as parents, and we look, ideally it would be great if you could be first of all, not in Delhi, because the smog may kill you. So I'm sorry, we make you live in Delhi, but that's the best we could do. And I'm sorry we send you to these schools because that's the best we could do. And so we need to be open, we need to be humble, we need to be also like friends, not just like, oh, we are authorities and we know everything, because this is really very much, I tell you, I live in India since 37 years, and probably I was Indian previous life, so I'm a little familiar. And India has got this very, very, very oppressive and suppressive mentality, parents on children, much more than in other parts of the world. Other places, maybe Korea is even worse, but India is very much this thing. I'm the authority, I'm right, and you have to listen. And if you don't listen, this is very bad. Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes we see the same dynamic in ISKCON. In the family is like that, in the temple is like that. There's the authority, and blah, 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 blah. So it's like, it's a bit suffocating. So we need to shift to be a friend and be humble and say, look, we're not perfect, but we think really this is good, and we're trying our best, and we want to see you happy. We know that this thing will not get happy. No, because, okay, you watch cricket, now India is doing fantastic, and then on the final with Australia, they they lose. So it's like, where is the happiness there? Or where is the happiness in Bollywood? Or where's the happiness in this and that? Or is the happiness in fashion? But then if you don't follow, not people will put you aside. And of course, children want to integrate, socialize. So you be friends, express your limits, express your values, and don't try to impose, because sometimes teenagers especially try to reject what the parents propose. And as you said, it's very difficult. There's not like, okay, this is the only solution, real solution, if you hibernate your children and you plug them out when they're 20, 25, and you start fresh, literally fresh from the fridge. But you can't do that. It's even illegal. So yeah, you got to keep an open dialogue. You try to keep the positive things, and maybe you encourage them, go to some kirtan mela, go to some camp. I don't know what's available in Delhi, and let them live in Krishna consciousness in their ways, which is not the way of the parents. See, in America, for instance, I got some guests in my garden. Can you give me a minute just to, huh? Sorry. Haribol, sorry, the interruption. One devotee came up from Calcutta, and we really didn't have a appointment, so he came up. He didn't know we had this class. Sorry for the interruption. So to conclude, I mean, it's a big discussion. To conclude, that treat your teenager children as friends. Don't be too oppressive. Be also humble. No, somehow you're not able to give the perfect environment. You're trying your best. Encourage, never. In other words, put the positive aspect of Krishna consciousness. And at one point, they have to decide by themselves what they want to do, what they don't want to do. You give the good advice, but then it's up to them. And it's up to them. And they need to have faith that Krishna is attractive, Krishna consciousness is attractive, even if they get into some trouble here and there, they'll grow up. Once I was, because I deal with congregational development, so I also study different movements, congregational developments, organizational development. So I went to see the Seventh-day Adventists. You heard about that? Is the 8th largest Christian denomination in the world. Okay, and I went to see their headquarters outside Washington, D.C. And then we were talking with somebody, and we both say Hare Krishna and Seventh-day Adventists had the experience that children, they may not be so much into the religion thing, although they're part of the religion, but they're not maybe so much diligent, some of them. But then they become very serious when they have their own children. Because when they have their own children, then they, you got to give a culture to this child. What do you want them to become? So then they become more serious in their religious life. So this is not a rule. This is not, and it's also not ideal. Ideally, one should be always serious and dedicated. But that's the dynamic that we have seen. That maybe as teenagers, they don't take very seriously like that. But when they have their own children, then they feel that they have to be exemplary. I remember even with my parents, frankly, my parents, they were Christians, but not so much into Christianity, going to church and all that. Okay, let's say they were more intellectuals, But when me and my sister started growing up, they gave us a Christian training. So they took us to this church regularly every Sunday. It's kind of, they were doing it for us more than for themselves. And so they put us through this training. And so it's a big topic, but I hope you got some ideas which could be useful for you. But it's a difficult issue, yes, definitely. Okay. And then this whole discussion between Purvachiti and Nidra goes on, and the metaphor, he says, you have two very powerful arrows, your glancing eyes. The glance of eyes, very, very powerful. Then there is this bumblebee surrounding Purvachiti, enjoying the flowers from her hair. The ankle bells sounds like titiri birds. And then the hips look like kadamba flower, and the waist belt looks like burning cinders. So very, very picturesque description, no? In fact, at one point, the text says, Agnidra had become so lusty that he asked, why have you come naked? She was not naked, but somehow he saw her as naked. Then there's this whole 2-3 verses on the breasts. And he says, well, what you have there, they look like horns, because she was obviously covering their breasts. They say, they look like horns. So how do how do you have these horns? Where are you coming from that people have these horns? Probably you have some treasures there, and so you're covering so that people don't see the treasure. So it's like almost madness. I mean, almost total illusion, but it's a reflection. It's a fact that the breasts are generally the most attractive part of women, and we understand what the breasts are made of. Um, so it's all illusory beauty, obviously. We know it's flesh and blood, and that's what's in the body, all parts of the body. So he asked, where are you from? That the men have this breasts, these horns. So, and then he gets into the whole metaphor of the face. You have the face like a beautiful lake. The earrings are makaras, which you'll probably translate as sharks, because in English it's not really makara word. Eyes are like restless fish moving in the lake of the face. Then the teeth, white teeth, are like swans, and the hair around the face are like swarms of bumblebees. So obviously is very enamored by Purvashiti. And remember, this is the best Apsara. Already, Apsaras are many times more attractive than human woman, and this is the best of the Apsaras. So we understand. I mean, we sympathize with sympathize and empathize with Agnidra. Then, so Srila Prabhupada even explained that Lord Brahma is worshipped in marriage ceremonies. Says in India, even today, wedding invitations are still issued with a picture of Lord Brahma on the face of the card. Is this your experience? Nowadays, is still going on or not?
No, Prabhuji, Brahmaji's position has been usurped by Ganpati.
Yeah, they put Ganesh. Sometimes they put Tirupati Balaji, no? So Brahma is not there. Dina Pavani Gaur Priya, you were saying something?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, so anyway, Srila Prabhupada wrote this fifth canto. He wrote it more than 50 years ago. So apparently in India, 50 years ago, they will put Brahma on the cards. Now they put Ganesh, which is interesting because, see, in Kali Yuga, even demigod worship changes its nature. Like the demigods were more popular in previous age, Surya, Brahma. In Kali Yuga, they become more Ganesh, Shiva, Durga, Kali. It's like it's a different taste, different objectives, different ways. So, wait, Ganapati ki jai, but so, but Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord Brahma is interested in good progeny. I mean, we see him in the Bhagavatam, very angry when the Kumaras don't want to have children. So, because he has to populate, this is one of his main services. He has to give bodies to the souls, which are now there in Garbhodakasha Vishnu, in the Hiranyagarbha. And so he has to give bodies, and to body they need to procreate. So he's very interested in this. No, it's like if you are a head pujari, you need pujaris. You need to cover those things, right? Or if you're a cook, head cook, you need people chop sabjis and stuff like that. So he needs to give bodies to living entities. So it needs a progeny. And of course, he wants good progeny. He's a devotee, so he wants good progeny. So Srila Prabhupada even say, unless he's pleased, one cannot get a suitable wife. Interesting. So then text 16, he realized, okay, Brahma gave it you to me. And Srila Prabhupada explained, he was so attracted, he was ready to go anywhere, hell or heaven, in her company. When one is absorbed in lust and the influence of sex, one surrenders to the feet of a woman without reservations. So we see we see that sometimes the attraction for a woman is that it's a disaster for a man, even materially speaking, when it's illegitimate. You have many politicians that because they had affairs, they completely lost their political stand. It's interesting. If you study America, traditionally America was very puritanical. You all know this word, puritanical? Puritanical means very attached to the norms of proper behavior, especially between the genders. So, and there are many cases in which some politician wanted to become not temple president of the country. And so, but then there was then they will have an affair with the secretary or something. That was enough for the political career to finish. But recently, this is not a value anymore. Like you had Trump, who had so many different wives and so many different prostitutes and so many different things. Still, people want to worship for him. So just like I was saying before they were worshiping different demigods, now they worship another demigod because the conscience is different. So even, I'm talking about America, but we could discuss different countries. In America, certain standards that the people, the voters, required from their leaders is not there anymore. Now they don't care anymore. Before it was essential. If you did not have a clear, we could say, clear bill of health, meaning you're married, you don't have affairs and this and that, but now they don't care anymore. So you see the degradation of the world now is. Priya Mukunda Prabhu said 7 minutes ago, similarly it is said that most liberals become conservative as they turn 30. Okay, that's interesting because it's a fact. Sometimes it is said that every 10 years we shift our worldview, how we see the world, how we see ourselves in the world, and certainly, the first 30 years people tend to be a little bit more irresponsible, but then when they are 30, they hit reality more fully, and they say, okay, then they say, oh, my parents were right. When they're 16, 18, they think, no, my parents don't understand anything. They're old. They just don't know anything. But then when they are 30, they say, no, my parents were right. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. So then you have this, then see, this happens sometime in Srila Prabhupada purpose in the Bhagavatam, that there is a situation, I mean, even in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, when you read the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada sometimes say Arjuna was very attached materially, right? But then in some other purpose says Arjuna, this is because he was a pure devotee, so he's very compassionate. You notice that sometimes? So Srila Prabhupada does the same here. In text 17, he says, since King Agnidra was a devotee, he actually had no attraction for material enjoyment. But because he wanted a wife or progeny, and Lord Brahma had sent Purvachitti for this purpose, he expertly pleased her with flattering words. So, so this makes the whole situation a bit ambiguous. Was it lusty? Really lost? He lost it because of lust, or he was just trying to, impress Purvachitti more in a diplomatic way. But we have this in Srila Prabhupada's teaching sometime in these situations, that sometimes he stress that the thing is positive, sometimes it stress the thing is negative, or he highlights different parts. That's why, in general, as a general principle, it's very important to understand all the teachings of Srila Prabhupada in one topic. Because otherwise, if we lock ourselves, this is very common, we lock ourselves on a quote, one quote. Srila Prabhupada said like that. Yes, Srila Prabhupada said like that, but he also said so many other things. So if you take a verse and you say, okay, Nidra was almost mad in lust, okay, but then you see this other verse, well, he was a devotee, he was just wanted to have a good son, so was trying his best, he was being diplomatic, or he was, Srila Prabhupada say, mellifluous words. I don't know how many of you knows this word, mellifluous. Mellifluous come from Latin, mel. Mel means honey in Latin language. So mellifluous means words which are like honey. So all he speaks like that. You're like this. You're like that. Like that. Okay. Anyway, so at the end, Purvachit. At the end, the Bhagavatam say Purvachiti lived with him for many thousands of years. And then they had 9 sons: Nabhi, Kimpurusha, Arivarsha, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Vodrashva, Ketumala. And Purvachiti did not remain permanently with Maharaj Yagnidra. After cooperating in his household, I'm reading Shamshya Prabhupada purport. After cooperating in his household affairs, she left Maharaj Yagnidra and all 9 sons and returned to Brahma to worship him. Srila Prabhupada gives the same example of Menaka. She had this famous Sakuntala daughter with Vishwamitra Muni, but then she also left. And we see in Vedic culture, Vedic literature, that this happens often, we could say, when the apsaras or higher beings interact. It's not forever. Like we see the story of Shantanu and Ganga, right? You've seen it because you read the Mahabharata, or you saw the TV serials, or both. I don't know. So you see the story, Shantanu Ganga. Then they have this 8 children, 8 children, and then she leaves. Let's remember, this earth is not. It's not really the best place in the universe. So when people come, they don't stay necessarily if they don't have to stay. So unless they're cursed, or unless they're just visiting, or unless they have a purpose, they don't really. Of course, Agnidra was in Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa mostly is a heavenly planet. But anyway, the point is Purvachiti at one point left. Now, then text 21, it tells us that because of drinking the breast milk of their mother, the 9 sons of Agnidra naturally had strong, well-built bodies. Their father gave them each a kingdom in a different part of Jambudvipa, and the kingdom were named according to the names of the sons. So later in this canto, there will be detailed descriptions of Kimpurusha Varsha, Hari Varsha, Hilavrita Varsha, Ramyaka Varsha, and there will be a detailed description of which form of the Lord is worshipped in different form, in different varshas, like in a place like Hayagriva, in one place Kurma, in one place Nishingadeva, and there are some examples of great devotees' prayers, like in there is a prayer by Prahlad Maharaj there. Although Prahlad Maharaj will be discussed in the 7th canto, in the 5th canto, he has a cameo appearance, and he offers a famous prayer to Nishingadeva. Some of you know it, or you heard it, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasingaya. Namaste Jaste Jase Avira Vibhava Vajranaka Vajradamsha Karmasha Yam Randaya Randaya Tamo Graza Graza Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuishtam Om Kshra Om. So this comes later in this canto. For now, Agnidra subdivides this Jambudvipa and gives one Varsha to each of his children. And Srila Prabhupada says something very important. In India, it's a common belief that if a baby is fed his mother's milk for at least 6 months, his body will be very strong. Let me tell you, I believe Varnashram has two main pillars. A real Varnashram. Varnashram has two main pillars, in my understanding. The first pillar is breastfeeding. The second is Gurukula. If you don't have breastfeeding, and if you don't have breastfeeding, what happens? Srila Prabhupada stresses the physical aspect. Okay, you get breastfeeding, you get very strong. But there is the old emotional and psychological aspect. The kid needs the body of the mother. Breastfeeding is part of it, but if the child does not spend time with the breast of the mother, that child will look for breasts all his life. And those people will be a struggle for them to fit in Varnashram. Because the whole Varnashram system is to develop a detachment. It's like, to give you an analogy, you know the story of Maharaj Parikshit, because you're all Bhakti Vaibhava students. So you know the story of Maharaj Parikshit, that he saw Vishnu, Paramatma, in the womb. And so, throughout his life, he was looking for Paramatma. That's why his name is Parikshit. Pariksha means, even nowadays, text exams. How do you say in Hindi? Pariksha. Yeah, in Bengal they call it parikha, in the Bengali way. So he was examining he was an emperor. Everyone he will see Paramatma. Say, is he him? No, is he him? Is he him? Is he him? Is he him? When you are in the temple, you look for a friend, no? You see his face everywhere until you meet him. That's not him, that's not him, that's not him, that's not him, that's not him. But you look at him. So similarly, when children don't spend time with the breast of the mother, which is the natural and healthy way of living one's own first years, sometimes up to 5 years. Some children are breastfed till 5 years. Anyway, when children don't have that breastfeeding, they will look for those breasts throughout their life because they did not have enough. And if they did not have enough, if they don't spend time with the body of the mother, with that affection, with that warmth, they'll become very, very easily very damaged individuals. So I leave you for your break with this meditation. There are two pillars of Varnashram: breastfeeding and Gurukul. And then we'll start in 10 minutes with Ananda Leela Mataji's question or comment. So see you at 11:41. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome back. I hope you had a refreshing, rejuvenating, re-energizing break. So let's hear from Ananda Leela Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Uh, my question is, like we saw how Agnidhara got influenced by Purvachiti, and though he was the son of Priyavrat Maharaj, who was a very nice, good devotee. So what would be the root cause this description of Bhagavatam, just to show us that that's how the material world is, when because of the conditioning one gets influenced and get into the you know to sense enjoyment, or there is some other reason to this pastime of Agnidhara getting attracted to Purvachitti.
Okay, thank you. See, the Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that each verse of the Bhagavatam has many, many, many meanings. And we can extract meanings on different levels. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, when you read all the purports, does extract many, many teachings at different levels. One is the principle, again, people are attracted by the feminine beauty, and they get ensnared, and they end up in trouble, say with extramarital affairs, adultery, or the principle that, okay, this this person wanted a son, but it was not just going to this marriage apps, okay, or to Tinder. He didn't do that. He went to do austerity. So there are many, many, many levels of teachings for us relevant to us. We may not be Agnidra, we may not be a king, we may not be in Jambudvipa, or at least we are only access to a very limited part of Jambudvipa. We don't even have the possibility of marrying an Apsara, but there are so many correspondences, so many parallels, and from each verse we can extract so much. As you know, I'm only giving few highlights of the purpose, few highlights. Srila Prabhupada brings up so much philosophy. That's why part of this Bhakti Vaibhava, essential part of this Bhakti Vaibhava course, is that you need to read the books, you need to see what Srila Prabhupada says, you need to take your own notes. I'm giving some highlights according to what I think it's important, it's relevant, but there are so many dimensions of that. And I repeat, as Srila Prabhupada quotes this Swami Sridhara, that he says that no, Priyavrata Maharaj at one point wasn't was a bit absorbed in lusty desire, so he got Agnidra as son, which was a devotee and was a very good king and everything, but he also had this leaning towards material enjoyment. So we can learn a lot from that. The parents wants to have children, but Srila Prabhupada many times said we should not have children like cats and dogs. Even Gopal Bhatta Goswami was a sannyasi. He wrote these books. There's some what's the name?
Satkriya Saradipika.
Yeah, Satkriya Saradipika, which is full of samskaras, and some are how you to have a baby, how to have the Garbhadhan samskara as a Gaudiya Vaishnava. So even a sannyasi who is a sannyasi, but for the benefit of the disciple, benefit of the sampradaya, he writes how you have a baby in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada simplified, okay, chant 50 rounds. So, when you chant 50 rounds, your consciousness should be good. So, but this is a principle that applies to us, even though different times, more than 1 billion years ago, but the same principle of what kind of soul you want to attract and how that soul will reflect the consciousness at the time of conception. That's a very, very relevant thing. So throughout the chapter, you'll find many relevant teachings. And also cultural indications, like Srila Prabhupada writes, in India, the cards are Brahma, and now 50 years later, they don't. See, you can also learn how things change, a culture change. Therefore, sometimes you can also distinguish when Srila Prabhupada talks about something that was current then, and something maybe when you read in 500 years, maybe that thing is completely forgotten. Just like yesterday we were discussing, Srila Prabhupada said girls should marry by 16th. But when he wrote that, it was legal in India. Now it's illegal. So you need to read with some discrimination. Okay? And you do that by discussing with the devotees. So different people bring some different angles and different questions and different perspectives. Okay? Manohar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Gurudana Pranam. Prabhuji, it is regarding the last comment or the last statement you said before going into the break regarding the breastfeeding.
Yes.
So yes, because of the social economic pressures and there are a lot of health issues that some mothers give up the breastfeeding very in early stages. And when you say that the child who do not take breastfeeding and give up it in early stage, they look for breast the whole life. Can we have some reference regarding this study? Is it a myth, or we have some reference in the scriptures also regarding this very, very interesting statement so please put some light on this.
Okay, so we can see that, we can talk so much about this, but basically we have observed even in ISKCON, in the short history of ISKCON, that good brahmacharis, good sannyasis, natural brahmachari, natural sannyasis, they have a history of having a very, very deep and close and positive relation with the mother. We also seen that there are some leaders, many non-leaders, but I'm thinking of some leaders who have a history to be grown without the mother or with very bad relation with the mother. And they do in their teachings, in their behavior, their attitudes reflect that. They have very, we could say, antagonistic, or I would say even pathological relation with the feminine world, with half of humanity, with women. So our past, our history brings us a certain psychology. And these are facts. You can Google it. You just Google psychological, emotional effects of lack of affection or lack of spending time with the mother. Right? There are studies all over the world. You can just Google it. When you say Shastra, yes, Shastra, of course, there are different variations of Shastras. I won't get now into that. But Shastra certainly is the highest, Pramana is the highest source of knowledge. But Shastra itself tells us that there are other sources of knowledge. See, Shastra is not in opposition to Pratyaksha and Anumana. So we have to understand the certain aspect of the world. It's understood through sometimes also through Pratyaksha and also through Anumana, or through research. Like if I say, there are studies of how watching pornography from an early age influence the sex life of people. Okay, there are so many studies because it's a world phenomenon. Now, that's not in Shastra. You may not find it in Shastra because there was no internet. There were, we could say, form of pornography like the Khajuraho temples and things like that, but it was not like, it was very different, like in psychological impact. So you may say, no, but where it is said that if you watch the internet pornography, then your sex life, there is no Shastra for that. But Shastra will tell the principles, like Srila Prabhupada said, we shouldn't contemplate women. That's the principle. And then there are, through Pratyaksha, through Anumana, through research, you understand. And that's valid knowledge. So I'm only, we could say humbly, invite you, Google it. And yeah, you may not find my sentence. You may not find my sentence that they will look for breast all life, but that's the conclusion. You follow? That's a corollary. But you Google it and see how a baby, male or female, who does not have physical touch for years with the body of the mother, because the mother is dead or because the mother, she's a crack addict or something, then it influenced the psychology, it influenced the earning power. They will make less money in life. They'll just be unbalanced individual, more prone to criminality. So please Google it and next week tell me what you found out. So I might express it in a sutra form, okay? Like you heard about books are the basis. In Varnashram, boobs are the basis. So you may not find that expression in Shastra, but that's the conclusion of a deep study of reality. Okay? But don't take it on faith. You Google it, and then we'll talk more if you like. Okay? Thank you. Oh, we have somebody in chat. Google is not the actual reference. I'm not sure about the meaning of this. I'm not sure about the meaning of this sentence. But Google,
Prabhuji, I want to say that on everything on the Google, it's not actually right. This I want to say, Prabhuji.
okay, thank you. Like it's good. It's good to have this going deep into this dialogue. See, Google. What is Google? It's a search engine. We agree? It's a search engine. It's a portal, online portal where you can search different things. Now, if you search, for instance, Srila Prabhupada books, you get Srila Prabhupada books. So you cannot say that Srila Prabhupada books because you got from Google is not good, right? If you Google Bhagavad Gita verses and you get the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, you cannot say, well, no, that's not the real Gita because it's from Google. Google is a portal. Google tells you, okay, well, what do you want to know? Where you want to go? And so if it's certain searches, of course, are very frivolous, are very trivial, or even sinful, right? Because Google is kind of neutral. Where you want to go? You Google cricket, they'll tell you cricket. You Google fashion, it'll tell you fashion. You Google economics, it'll tell you economics. You Google geology, it'll tell you geology. You Google, as I suggested, you Google psychology, and you Google questions such as how the time and the quality of the time spent by the baby with the mother influences the life of the baby. Now, that's not what Google says. Google will bring you to very reputable scientific research. People who do that for a living, people who did PhD dissertations, they made studies, statistic studies, sometime over decades. So Google is just a door. It's not like that's not the source of the knowledge. So from Google, you can go to heaven, you can go to hell, and you can go to Goloka. You can go Google how to go to Goloka. Let me try. I'll Google how to go to Goloka Vrindavan. So the first thing is quota, is that how will I get entry into Goloka Vrindavan after death? Second is Krishna today, 12 things to do to go back to Krishna's Goloka. Then there is a video from Srila Prabhupada, which is Srila Prabhupada photo. A real devotee doesn't want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. Then there is arekrishna.org, how to go to Goloka. Then there is, so you follow what I'm saying. Google can bring you to hell, to heaven, or to Goloka. It's a tool. Is that clear? And that knowledge on how to go to Goloka doesn't come from Google. It's just referencing different people, different authorities who spoke about that. But otherwise, I agree with you. Certainly not that anything that shows up in Google is divine and perfect and infallible. That I agree with you. That you need to know how to use Google. Okay, we have about 1 hour and we need to finish this chapter, and we need to finish one full chapter. So let's concentrate a little bit on the text. So we are on text 22. The Bhagavatam says, after Purvachiti's departure, King Agnidra is lustily desired, not at all satisfied, always thought of her. Therefore, in accordance with the Vedic injunctions, the king, after his death, was promoted to the same planet as his celestial wife. So we also understand, okay, he got the best woman, at least in terms of aesthetics, beauty of the universe, one of the most beautiful women in the universe, okay? But still he was not happy, it was not enough. So Srila Prabhupada said that he will go on to Pitriloka. Srila Prabhupada used this word that he doesn't use very often, but he says, probably to live with her again. Okay? So this is the story of Agnidra, very, I would say, very instructive for all of us and all the dynamics of the universe. He was not happy, even having the best of Sarah. He always felt was not enough. So finally he died, and probably he reached her and continue living with her for some time at least. But so this is not, we could say, the highest success. Just like, again, using the analogy of Google. It depends what you Google. You can get anything. So similarly, Agnidra Googled Purvachiti, or he Googled, I want to he Googled Brahma saying, okay, I want to have this and that, and he got this and that, but you could see, so it did not bring liberation. Final verse in the chapter, after the departure of their father, the 9 brothers married the 9 daughters of Meru, named Meru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugradamshri, Lata, Ramya, Shyama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. Okay, so let's shift quickly to the next chapter. The chapter is entitled Rishabhadeva Appearance in the Womb of Meru Devi. Now, I want to emphasize a little cultural aspect. See, sometimes you have like a chapter in the first canto, the appearance of Narada Muni, and so on. But you can see that the appearance in this case of Rishabhadeva, or in that case of Narada Muni on the scene, it's only at the very end of the chapter. Although the chapter is saying appearance of Rishabhadeva, Rishabhadeva comes at the very, very end. And this is something that is in tune with the Indian or Eastern habit or custom of celebrating the day before the appearance of a personality. I'll give an example. Janmashtami. When we say it's Janmashtami, what we mean is that Janmashtami is the day before Krishna appears, right? Right? Krishna appears at midnight, so the day before the appearance is called Janmashtami. In the West, it's done in a different way. In the West, the main day is after the event, like Christmas. 24th is called Christmas Eve. Then on the 24th, let's say at midnight or at night, you celebrate the birth of Jesus. And then the next day is Christmas. This is a small thing. Probably it won't be in your exam, don't worry. But in the West, the celebration is after the event. In India, is before the event. So this can help you understand a little bit culturally how the Bhagavatam, when they say appearance of Rishabhadeva, is actually at the very end of the chapter. In the West is the opposite. Okay, small note. Now, Nabhi. Nabhi was the first son of Agnidra, so grandson of Priyavrata. So Nabhi and Meru Devi worship the Lord to have sons. Again, we see this again and again in the Bhagavatam, especially in these chapters about the Manvantaras. They want to have children. It's their duty to have children. It's their dharma. It's essential, but they go for austerity. And they do go for worship. To prepare, to attract the soul. Because there's so many, it's not any soul will come just because you desire. You need to do something about it. So the Lord appears to them, and although this is a purport, although Maharaj in the second chapter, in the second verse, although Maharaj Nabi performed prescribed duties of sacrifice, it should still be considered that the Lord appeared before him not due to his sacrifice, but because of his devotional service. This is one theme of this chapter. It's expressed here, it's expressed more than various times. That the sacrifices, we'll see the Lord appears in the sacrifice of the King Meru, King Nabi, but it's not mechanical. It's not because, okay, you do certain procedures, then the Vishnu has to appear. It's not like that. That may work for other personalities, but not for Vishnu. So Vishnu, immediately Srila Prabhupada say, he appears because of his devotional service. There's no way to capture Vishnu mechanically. And this is something that priests, mostly in this chapter, the priests will talk. Then there is a beautiful description of the Lord, very detailed. And King Nabi and his priests and associates felt just like poor people who have suddenly attained great riches. This is a metaphor, it's an analogy. Imagine a poor person. Imagine, I don't know, some poor person in Delhi. He's just scrapping in the garbage to find something to sell, maybe some iron or some plastic. That's what he does. So poor. Of course, some people make a lot of money doing that. But let's say this person is very, very poor. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, he wins a lottery and he becomes a crorepati. Imagine the joy, him and his family. Imagine now we are a crorepatis overnight. So that's the type of joy that Nabi and everyone else experience. And this is important because these are already very sattvic people, very rich people, very, we could say, accomplished people. They're the king of, Nabi is the king of basically the whole Bharatvarsha and of Jambudvipa. So imagine they're already super opulent, super successful, but when Vishnu appears, they kind of see the difference. Wow, the pleasure that Vishnu gives us is much more than anything that we already have. They have gold, they have silk, they have everything. Power, they have everything. But when Vishnu appears, they feel like a poor man becoming rich. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, previous canto, he wanted something bigger than Brahma kingdom. But when Vishnu appeared, he felt, look, I was just asking for broken glass. Because the comparison of the experience of having Vishnu, having Krishna, it's just incomparable to any other thing. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, Yam labdha chaparam labha manyate nadikam tataha. Upon gaining this, one thinks there is no greater gain. One note, if somebody wants to have some question now, I do not elaborate because I want to kind of finish first the chapter. These priests are called Ritviks. And we know there is the whole branch of Vaishnavism that's called Ritvikism. And they also in India, they're still very, very popular. So if later anybody wants to know something about Ritvik or Ritvikism, we can discuss. It's up to you. I coordinated the production of a book, 100 Deviations of Ritvikisms. So I'm very familiar, deeply familiar, intimately familiar with all the arguments. So later, if somebody wants to ask about Ritviks, we will talk about the rest. No need. Now, verse 4 and 5, the priests glorified the Lord as transcendental to matter, unknowable by the material senses. These priests are very nice, actually. They are also very humble. They understand, look, you appear because of your desires, not that because we did some mantras then you come. Srila Prabhupada, well, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse. Shri Krishna, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulsi leaf and a palmful of water. So stressing the importance of this. This is a verse from the Gautamiya Tantra. It's also cited in Chaitanya Charitamrita because there it said that Vetacharya wanted Lord Chaitanya to appear and he found this verse and he said, yeah, that's the way I will attract the Lord, by worshipping with Tulsi and water. Of course, he put a supernatural enthusiasm and supernatural intensity in doing that. But the Lord likes these two things. So in this chapter, often it's described how the Lord accepts the devotion. It's not because the Lord doesn't need anything. This is a very, very strong message of this chapter. It does not need anything. Sometimes we become obliged because we need stuff. And so people offer those facilities, those assets. It could be money, it could be position, it could be a job, it could be even validation, emotional validation. So we become obliged because we need those things. We need those things in a gross or subtle way. But the Lord doesn't need anything. He's complete in himself. He doesn't need some priest who does some mantras. He doesn't need that. He's happy. So Srila Rupa Goswami says, I'm reading from Purport 7, says that if one is offered varied foods but has no appetite, the offering has no value. In a big sacrificial ceremony, there may be many things accumulated to satisfy the Supreme Personality of God. But if there is no devotion, attachment, or love for the Lord, the arrangements is useless. Bhakti, devotional service, is the main way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is not a question of arranging huge sacrifices. Of course, someone who has bhakti, he will use anything they have for pleasing the Lord. But in themselves, these ingredients don't attract the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says in text 8, we may construct a gorgeous temple and spend thousands of dollars, but such a temple is not required by the Lord. The Lord does many millions of temples for his residents, and he does not need our attempt. It does not require opulent activity at all. Such engagement is meant for our benefit. So, especially in a place where, in like Delhi, and I'm sure the leaders there, they teach this, but especially in a place like Delhi where there's so much focus on building temples, it's not that Krishna needs this temple. We need the place where we can worship Krishna, so we can advance, we can be saved from material life. In the next verse, Srila Prabhupada says something similar. Lord Vishnu was personally present at the sacrificial arena, but this does not mean that he had any interest in his own personal benefit. Similarly, the Archa Vigra, the deity in the temple, is present for the same purpose. The deity appears not because he needs anything in the world, but for our benefit, so that we can learn how to love and serve them. 10th verse, Krishna's appearance is for the deliverance and satisfaction of his devotees. Actually does not avent himself simply to kill the demons, for that can be done by his agents. Lord Vishnu appearance at the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Nabi was just to please the king and his assistants. So the priests are very obliged, they feel very obliged, they feel very happy, they give these prayers. At one point, text 13, Srila Prabhupada explained, although Nabi Maharaj wanted a son like Vishnu, wanting a son like God is also a form of sense gratification. Therefore, the priests were, quote unquote, a little ashamed. Now, this is obviously, we are talking, see, the Bhagavatam, Dharma Project, Paramo, the Bhagavatam really emphasizes the most pure attitudes that we should have. Obviously, deciding the Lord as a son, like Sutapa and Prishni did when they became Vasudeva and Devaki, it's not mundane, it's not sinful. We could say it's not material. I mean, somebody is thinking of the Lord so much is ready to do anything to get the Lord as son. But we should understand that it's still there is some personal tinge of personal interest, sense gratification. It's very high level for us. These are very great examples. Imagine becoming the father and mother of the Lord in different forms. But still, the desire is considered not completely pure. In fact, in text 14, Srila Prabhupada still says it's a material desire. The sun may be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but such a material desire, be it great or insignificant, is brought about by the influence of Maya. Obviously, there are much worse forms of Maya. We understand that. I mean, but it's considered a form of Maya. And then Srila Prabhupada kind of balances or gives a definition. It was no fault on Maharaj Nabi's part that he wanted a son. Okay, so these are subtle principles of devotion, but we should learn it. We should learn. The priests say, this is from the Bhagavatam text 15, our only aim was to acquire a son by performing this great sacrifice. Therefore, our intelligence is not very sharp. We are not experienced in ascertaining life's goal. By inviting you to this negligible sacrifice for some material motive, we have certainly committed a great offense at your lotus feet. So, again, emphasizing the subtleties of devotional service. These priests are obviously very qualified. The Lord appears. Obviously, they're very good as a sacrifice, and they're also humble. They say, "Look, we are not so intelligent. We just ask you for a son like you." So we need to get this. We need to get this mood, this principle that always introspect, always see, is my motivation right? Because one thing is to rationalize. No, I'm doing everything right. You see, the scripture said that, the Guru said that, Srila Prabhupada said that, so I'm doing everything right. But here we see a different mood. We see a mood that although technically they did everything right, so right that the God comes directly in person, still they feel it wasn't right. It wasn't right. It was tinged. So we are not very intelligent, and actually we have been offensive. We have kind of disturbed you for our personal interest. It's very, very subtle, no? So you can see how the Bhagavatam really trains us systematically. And this is the spirit of Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta, train systematically of how to purify everything. Because it may be gold or appears as gold, but it may be some impurities there. Even when there is gold, no, 99.99, some impurity. They say gold, 24 carats, 22 carats, sometimes 18 carats. So even gold, it's gold. But even gold has got different degrees, gradations of purity, and therefore of value. Now, this should not be, we should not become paranoid, or we should not become, we could say, discouraged or depressed. We should not think, whoa, they did the perfect sacrifice. They're going to get the Lord the Son, and the Lord appeared, but still they feel somewhat guilty. So what about us? What about us? We do, I don't know about you, but I may have so many mixed motivations and so many dirty stuff. So what about us? Well, we should try to follow as much as possible the practices and purify our desires. And this Bhakti Vaibhava, obviously, I hope everything is clear, everybody's clear about that. It's not just to get a degree or just to, get some knowledge. It's to learn how to see our life as an effort to get rid of all contamination. And not just in a moralistic way, we should be pure. No, because that's a real happiness for the soul. And this, I should say, that's the real happiness for Krishna, and consequently, of course, our happiness. Okay, so the priest end the prayer, the Lord starts speaking. The Lord is pleased with the prayers, but then he explained, look, you want a son like me, but nobody's like me. So, there's nobody like me. I mean, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Hara Sababritya. Nityo Nityanam Chitanas Chitananam Ekhu Bahunam Yovidadati Kamam. So I say, okay, then I have to appear myself because there's nobody like me. They say, but the words of the Brahmanas should go wasted as they represent the Lord. So we see this again and again, the great respect for the qualified Brahmanas that the Lord has. Srila Prabhupada say, according to the Vedic injunctions, a Brahmana is the mouth of the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, in all rituals, a Brahmana is offered food, Brahmana Bhojan. Because when a Brahmana eats, it is considered that the Supreme Lord himself eats. Srila Prabhupada also explains, of course, the Brahmana, as the mouth of the Lord, should not just eat on behalf of the Lord. They should also speak, because the mouth has got two functions, speaking and eating. So Brahmanas who only eat on behalf of the Lord, those are not, I mean, maybe they're not even Brahmanas, so that's very kind of whatever, whatever, you know what I mean. But the Brahmana should also speak on behalf of the Lord. Sometimes I feel really bad, like important temples in India, and there are Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, but there's no real teaching. I remember some time back I was in what's called Visakhapatnam, okay? And near the ISKCON temple, there is a Balaji Venkateshwar temple. And it's managed by Sri Vaishnavas. You could see all Ramanujacharya Vaishnava. Temple is very new, it's very clean. I'm sure these are very qualified Brahmanas. They know a lot of stuff. Some of them may know very well Sanskrit. They all know many stories. But I was there on a Sunday, and there was a lot of people. Not like Tirupati, but there was a queue. You got to go take darshan, then the darshan for Lakshmi Devi, then another altar, and people roam around like that. And there were some brahmanas sitting there near the office, and I was saying, but why there is not preaching? And this is not, I mean, a criticism, it's just an observation that there are so many people. These are pious people, these are devotees. These are devotees. They go, instead of doing something else, a Sunday go and see the Lord. So these are devotees. But somehow there's no teaching. And I felt really this is missing. For these brahmanas, there's nothing. Put the Vyasas in a corner and start talking. Start talking about the glories of Balaji Venkateshwar. Start talking about the glories of Ramanujacharya. Start talking about philosophy, Vishishtadvaita. Start talking. I'm sure the people will sit and listen and learn. But somehow, nothing. And I was very sad. Because for them, it's nothing. I mean, to give a class, they will be happy themselves. People will be learning. And unfortunately, that's the condition. And these are Ramanuja Brahmanas. They're not just some Brahmana in the Ganesh temple that gives you this red stuff. Okay? These are probably real Brahmanas. But this function of being Brahmanas as representative of the mouth of the Lord, it's just not there. It's very sad. It's very sad. And I assume that some of these Brahmanas can give lectures maybe better in terms of knowledge of fluency, knowledge at least of their philosophy, of their tradition, and I'm better than our ISKCON devotees, because sometimes our ISKCON devotees are not very scholarly. Some are scholarly, some are not. And sometimes the class is kind of monotonous or a little boring or something. So I'm just saying these brahmanas they have a golden opportunity. People are coming anyway. Just put some carpet in the floor and just start speaking, and people will sit and listen. Hare Krishna. So, conclusion 18, conclusion of the speaking of the Lord. He says, since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion. Amsha Kalaya, by an expansion of my personal form. So the Lord disappears. Meru Devi, the wife of Nabi, was there because the sacrifice is done with the wife, so she also listened to everything. Imagine the joy. And then the Lord appears in his spiritual form. That's the last verse of the chapter, text 20. Srila Prabhupada said, the Supreme Lord sends an avatar incarnation to teach human society the proper way to execute religious principles. And you know that from the Gita. Yada yada dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So because of the potency of time, people tend to forget. Of course, yeah, they were all very religious and everything, but you will see from the next in the next section, in the next unit, how Rishabhadeva very powerfully established this, the Bhagavatam understanding of religion. There is already so much religiosity. I mean, Agnidra was very religious. You cannot say Agnidra was irreligious. Was very religious. But that's like, okay, worship Brahma, get an Apsara, get the sun, get 9 sons. That's one part of religiosity, one part of Vedic culture. But we will see in the next unit, either with me or with somebody else, let's see how things go. But you will see how Rishabhadeva established Bhagavata principles. It means the highest form, very, very frank, very cutting, very direct, very uncompromising principles. So, in fact, those verses are among the most powerful and most famous verses in the Bhagavata because they're so crystal clear and so uncompromising on any form of mixed bhakti or material life, material desire. Nunam pravata kuruti vikarma yadindriya prita prinoti. He would say things like, those who become mad, people become mad just for the love of sense gratification. Sometimes priests, religious people, in all religion, could be Hinduism, could be Christianity, Buddhism, any religion, sometimes priests kind of condone, promote, support the material aspiration of people. Right? You go there, you want to do something, little yagya, okay, you do this yagya, okay, you do that yagya, okay, just give us a donation. In China, it's very common. You have so many Buddhist temples in China, and you have these monks. These Buddhist temples are very rich because people go there and just give charity, give charity, give charity. But these people don't preach. Don't preach and say, look, you're eating all sorts of nonsense. Buddhism means ahimsa paramadharma, you should not eat anymore. They don't preach. They don't preach. So there is a sense of like they're accomplices. I'll do my material life, I do whatever you like, but I give you some money and you bless me. Once I was in Mexico, me and my wife was in Mexico, so the local municipality gave us a space, and we did a series of lectures, dance. My wife does some dance, also Bharatanatyam, like that. So we did like a week of programs on Indian philosophy and, of course, Bhakti Yoga. And they told us that before us, the Buddhists have taken that place, and they had a special program. They were blessing pets. So although Mexico is a Christian country, is a Catholic country, okay? But there were hundreds and thousands of people bringing their cats, their dogs, their parrots, to have the Buddhist monk bless these pets. Because generally, the Catholic priests don't do that, right? Now, there's nothing, in one sense, wrong to bless a pet. You have a dog, okay, I bless, may you Krishna Vatiras too, or whatever. There's nothing, I'm not saying is wrong, but I don't think there was any preaching that, look, you love so much this pet that you come here, it's not even your religion, but you come here to get the blessed. Be careful, because you may become a cat or a dog next life if you continue like this. You follow? Sometimes priests everywhere, including ISKCON, I tell you, it's just the nature of priests. Sometimes, including ISKCON, we may tend, you could say the Brahmana, the priest, that class of people tend to slacken. And instead of being uncompromising and say, look, this is not good. We know it's not good, but okay, you give us money, it's okay, you know. And I'm talking about 6,000 years or a million years or human history. I'm not talking just, ISKCON like that. It's the nature of priests. But when Rishabhadeva comes, you can see that he's totally uncompromising, and that's the Bhagavatam. No, Dharma Projita Kaitavo Atra Paramo. Here, only the highest part. Other things, we were not interested. For other things, there are other Puranas, you know. You want to slaughter a goat in Amavasya, you know, there is a Shastra for that. You want to do this and that and the other thing, but here we don't do these things. Hmm? You know the joke. You know, in Christianity there are different types of Christians, right? Protestant, Catholic, right? You know that, right? The Catholic follow the Pope, the Protestants don't follow the Pope. Okay. So there was this man who goes to the Catholic priest and say, look, my dog died, and I was very, very attached to my dog. Can you please do a funeral in the church? Nice flowers and everything, because I really love this dog. So can you do a service, a church service for my dog? And then the priest say, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry, but you know, in the church we don't do these things, you know. But there is this other church, the Protestant church, 2 blocks from here. Maybe they do that. I don't know. You can check there. So the man said, "No, I'm sorry, because I wanted to give $50,000 donations, but okay, I'll check there." And the priest goes, no, but you didn't tell me that the dog was Catholic. We'll do it here, no problem. We'll do it here. Anyway. Once I told it in an ISKCON way. I said the same thing. Somebody comes to an ISKCON temple with a dog, dead dog, and say, can we do a funeral, but nice Vaishnava funeral, because I really love this dog. And the temple president says, no, we don't do this thing. We don't have this type of rituals. So, but there is a Gaudiya Math. There's a Gaudiya Math 2 blocks from here. You can maybe do something. And then the person goes, okay, I wanted to give 10 lakhs donations, so okay, I'll try that. No, but you didn't tell me the dog was ISKCON. Anyway, you can change the groups, but the story is the same. We have Manohar Dvija Prabhu.
Prabhuji, when we talk about, preaching in different, different beliefs, when we talk about the Hindu traditional preaching practices, we see that the normally Brahmanas actually, preach Brahmanas. They don't they don't normally do these preachings in general public. They think that the blood, there is a blood power, and only Brahmanas can understand, so don't preach. And the second thing is, when we talk about Buddhism, they also do not preach in general public. They have a very confidential goshtis in some areas, and in their specific groups, and they preach. They don't preach in general. So what is wrong in it? I think every belief has a specific understanding of preaching. They think that the preaching will not be understood by the general public. You mentioned about the Sri Sampradayas. They also do some confidential preachings. They do not preach in public when it is regarding, you know, regarding preaching on the confidential subjects or the subjects of the Lord, because they think that it will not be understood correctly, and it will be, it will be contaminated if it is, uh, you know, d- discussed in journal. So everyone
Okay.
has, yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the bringing up this point, which is uh, essential, very important. Now, you mentioned the Shris. In the Sri Vaishnava line, uh, there is also internal tensions in terms of what can be revealed to the public, what cannot be revealed. There are two divisions, not the north and south. North meaning not North India, north of Tamil Nadu, Kanchipuram and all that, because Vedanta Deshika preached there, and there was a lot of this Smarta Brahmanas, Shiva worshipper. So he kind of presented the Ramanuja Vaishnavism, which they could relate. So a lot of Smarta ideas and caste idea kind of filter within that type of Sri Vaishnavism. You have the southern ones who are more open. For instance, the northern one, they don't give mantras with Om to women or Shudras. The southern one they give to women and Shudra. And we all know the story. It's also in the Namar Chitra Katha of Ramanuja getting the mantra from the Guru and then going on the temple tower and saying to the whole city, Om Namo Narayanaya. We all know the story, right? We heard it. And then the Guru first was, no, how can you do that? Then he understood and he was happy. So he gave to everybody. Everybody was in the street, in the market. Everybody, Shudras, women, children, men, everybody. So that's Ramanuja's mood. When Ramanuja went to Melkote, where he stays 12 years, Melkote is in Karnataka because they wanted to kill him in Tamil Nadu, right? The Shaiva king. So he went to Melkote. He even converted some aborigines. You know the story. You may have heard the story. And these aborigines, of course, the level of art and culture was very low, but they made the Vishnu, which is they're still using somehow. They're still using Ramanuja Sampradaya, a very Vishnu like a stick man, the stick Vishnu, no, four arms with simple symbols. And then when he reached Melkote, at the time South Karnataka was a Jain kingdom, the Oshala kingdom. And he made the king into a devotee, Vishnuvardhana. And these Oshala kingdoms became Vaishnava kingdom, and they built more than 100 temples. Some are still very much used. Some are very famous, Belur Halebidas. Probably you heard about that because there's a lot of art. So you can see the Ramanuja and Madhva, they preached. They preached from other Brahmanas, they preached to the Buddhists, they preached to the Mayavadis, they preached to the Smartas, they preached to the Aborigines, the forest dwellers, hunters in the forest. They preached to everybody. Now, which is also more relevant for us, Lord Chaitanya, obviously, preached. In fact, there was a big scandal and opposition when he started the Sankirtan movement here in Navadvip. Was not the Muslim who had the problem, because the Muslim largely, okay, these are Hindus, let them do their things. But it was the Brahmanas who had the problem. And they say, look, this Nimai Pandit is contaminating Hindu religion because this holy name should not be heard in public, is confidential, is sacred, like that. They went to the Chankasi. They went to the magistrate and say, we should stop this Nimai Pandit. Of course, Nimai Pandit did not agree. He did this big procession and so on. We know the story. So, Srila Prabhupada, there is more than once, he said, even the breaking of India into India and Pakistan is due to these Brahmanas who did not want to preach to people. And he was saying, these Muslims, there are hundreds of millions of Muslims in India, right? And he said, this they don't come from Afghanistan or Persia or Pakistan or that side. They are Indians. And the problem is that the Brahmanas never considered them and never preached to them. And so many people, as you know, the history of even modern India, many people became Buddhists, they're becoming Christians every day. And this Srila Prabhupada said, the Brahmanas are supposed to preach to these people. The Brahmanas are teachers. See, Brahmana, what does it mean, Brahmana? Brahmana is a teacher. Obviously, every teacher, and some of you are professional teacher, obviously you teach according to the capacity of the student. If somebody is in first standard, you don't start saying, okay, this is how you build a bridge. No, you start alphabet, arithmetics, additions, multiplications, subtractions, divisions. You start with the thing, but it's not that you cannot say, oh, the children can't learn anything. So similarly, we also need to understand what preaching means. Yes, you're right. There are certain things which are very technical. Now, Vedanta Sutra, understanding the Sanskrit, the sandhis, how this becomes this, how this does not become this, and this and that. Now, but Srila Prabhupada said, for instance, that 100 years ago, of course, when he wrote this book, say 150 years ago, everyone, even the illiterate people, knew everything about the Shastra because people in the village will gather at night and they will hear Bhagavatam, will hear Mahabharata, will hear Ramayana. And so they will know the philosophy. They will develop bhakti for Ram. They will develop bhakti for Krishna. They will develop bhakti for all the avatars. And you can see that there's still this function in whatever corrupted way, mixed way, is still done by all these TV serials. You know this what's called Radha Krishna serial. There is Radha Krishna, right? What's called that? What's called the serial that go with Krishna, Radha, Vrindavan? What is that called? What's the title? Anyway, so there's Mahabharata, no? And still people fall in love with Krishna. People feel, although there may be so many speculations, but people still fall in love with Rama. So people can certainly learn basic philosophy, another body, reincarnation, whatever you do, you go the next life. Bhagavad Gita is very didactic. Certain things are very, very simple to understand. You're not the body, and there are three gunas. Some are elevating, some are degrading. Mamana bhava mad bhakto. Everybody, even the most simple person in India can understand. Mamana, think of me. Krishna say, mad bhakto, become my devotee. So, the Brahmanas, I repeat the principle, the Brahmanas represent the Lord's mouth. They represent the Lord's voice. So they have to teach people what Krishna teaches. And because the Brahmanas are not doing it, first of all, Brahmanas, many, they just want to go to IIT and get an engineering job. That's the Brahmanas. And some Brahmanas who somehow end up in a temple, they just sit there. They give you this thing, the hat. They give you some red thing, some ash, something, some tutsi. Okay, go. Give some money, go. Or they do, some yagya just for money or something. There's really very, very rare that the Brahmanas preach. So this idea that we should not preach, where it comes from? We should ask historically. Ramanuja preached, Madhva preached, Lord Chaitanya preached, the Acharyas preached, Bhakti Thakur preached. I mean, everybody preached. So it sounds like really a dharmic thing. Brahmanas are teachers, and they should teach. Now, you can say teach, you can say preach, you can say glorify the Lord, you can say explain, you can use different words, but that's the function of the Brahmana. That's the function of the head in society. So if somebody say, no, but the Brahmana should not teach, then they did not understand what the Brahmana is. They just don't understand. But you have your hand up, please. Please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, you talked about the, India being, uh, um, center for spiritualism, they should preach. But it has been targeted as a in the colonialism where we have been captured by by different groups of, uh, you know, different groups of people, by Mughals, and then by the, by the English people. The problem is that our scriptures are written in the language we really don't know, we really don't taught. If we compare it with the English people, they have Bible is in English, they know English, they speak English, and they can read English very well. The problem is that our we have been captured and targeted as in the colonialism, and we have been, targeted by different group of people. And now when the preaching is done, it is done by from the mouth to mouth. It is more because we cannot refer to scriptures very easily. We have been taken the and we say that our scriptures have been taken from us just because the language has all been taken because of those different groups captured the country in different, different period. So I think that is the difference where we can see that there is a gap between the scriptures and the knowledge of the people. We are really
Okay.
unfortunate because of
Okay.
this.
See, but I'm not sure if what you say as a true or substantial historical basis, because we see that in every language group in India, they have their own translation of the scriptures. Like, you got Mahabharat in Telugu, you got in Hindi, you got Tulsi Charita Manasa, what's called? So every just like in the West, say the Bible, especially after Martin Luther in the 16th century, the Bible has been translated and people read the Bible in their own language. So similarly, you have in India, traditionally, every language group, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, Bengali, they have developed their own texts or just the version of, say, the text in their version. And they have developed the whole culture of, say, bhajans. So you have bhajans in Gujarati, bhajans in Punjabi, bhajans. I mean, I don't have to list all the language, you know that, right? In South India, the Karnataka, you have the bhajan of Purandaradasa, Kanakadasa, right? In Tamil, you have Tyagaraj, and everywhere. No, I'm sure Orissa, they have the bhajans for Jagannath. So in fact, in one sense, it has always been available, this philosophy. And yes, Sanskrit is one thing, but even the Bible was not English. The Bible, it was some people almost, the Bible was, some parts was in Hebrew. Jesus didn't even speak Hebrew. He didn't even speak Greek. He spoke Aramaic, which is a very small language. Then there was this Greek, it was translated into Greek, then in Latin. Then for many years they kept it in Latin. Then they started translating in English and German and everywhere else. So I don't know, maybe I missed something about what you say, but I don't see this big difference. Every religion starts with the original text. Like, say, Muslims, okay, they have Arabic as their as their language. But Muslims in India, how many speak Arabic? Just some scholars. I'm sure you go in a mosque, they speak in Hindi, they speak in Tamil, they speak in Bengali, right? I hear here, I live here near a village, Muslim village, very nice people, and I hear their namaz now 5 times a day, and sometimes they have bhajans and things. They sing in Bengali. They sing the namaz in Arabic, okay? But then the bhajans and stuff preaching is in Bengali. So it's really the same thing for us. Like we have our liturgy, say we do Mangalarti, Samsara Davana is a Sanskrit. But then the classes are in Hindi or Bengali or Oriya or Marathi.
Agreed, Prabhuji. Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The problem has been that if we take it historically, is that the Indian culture has been kidnapped by Mayavada philosophy. There was a very clearly planned and purposeful attempt by people like Dayananda, Vivekananda, to say that, okay, all this Hinduism, all these gods, all these Puranas, that's just external. The real thing is Brahman, the real thing is Shankara. And that corrupted completely the understanding of even common people in India. Because otherwise, India, the Bhakti, it was the main religion. Bhakti is the main religion. Either you're a devotee of Rama or you're a devotee of Krishna. In the south, you have Nishingadeva. So in Orissa, you're a devotee of Jagannath. In Andhra Pradesh, you're a devotee of Balaji. If you're in Chennai, you're a devotee of Parthasarathi. I mean, I could go throughout India. If you're a Marathi, you're a devotee of Vitala, right? I mean, everybody knows this thing. So Bhakti was the religion of India, was the understanding of India. God is a person. Sometimes he comes as Krishna, sometimes he comes as Rama, sometimes he comes as Nishinga. And even illiterate people could understand that. And in fact, no, and then they absorb. There is theater, there is katha, there is art. So, but unfortunately, this Mayavadis poisoned the world, poisoned the Indian culture, and say, no, that's okay, that's just external. People need to do something. All these Puranas, but actually, the real thing of Hinduism is Shankaracharya. And Shankaracharya is, I mean, I don't want to use vulgar word, but this philosophy is really, it's not even a philosophy. It just says basically that there's Advaita, there's non-duality, but there's Brahman, there's Maya. Well, right there is a contradiction. Right there is a contradiction. Right there, it's a complete world jugglery. So, I mean, this is not a class on Mayavada, but they really spoiled the soul of India, because they basically said, no, these things are okay, but the real thing is Brahman, the real thing you have to merge, the real thing you're not a person, there's no God, and it's all basically nonsense. Basically nonsense. Something which was already condemned by Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyantem amabhutaya. He calls them abhudaya. Those who have no brain, they think that I come from a unmanifested source. At first there was avyakta, and now there is vyakti. And people think like that, that they're just basically calls them idiots. Abhudaya means murka, means that you don't understand anything. If you think that the personal come from the impersonal, you don't understand anything, because you're suggesting something which is illogical. Yeah. Of course, what you say has its own relevance. The British tried to impose this sense of this sense of guilt on the Indians, this sense that, look, you're primitive, you don't know, you have these gods with 4 arms, 6 arms, 10 arms, 16 arms. It's all mythology, and they impose certain thing in the language, like idol. Indians, when they say deity, they say idol, right? But in English, in the West, idol, it's an insult. So Indians, they don't know, they're using a language, they don't know what they're saying. An idol, there's a word, idolatry, idolatry, which in the whole Christian world is very bad. Idolatry means you are worshiping a false god. You're making an image, imaginary image, and you worship that. It's a great sin. But because the British brought English in a certain way, most Indians, they say the idol, the idol. They don't understand what they're saying. So it's a fact. Yes, India has been under foreign rules. First the Muslims, then the English. The Muslims did a lot of atrocities and stuff, but at least people didn't take so seriously theologically or culturally, because obviously the Indians were superior culturally. Okay, but when the English came with all their technology, remember English, Britain, London was like the most advanced place in the world. The British Empire, the technology, the industry, the Queen, and all that. So at that time, the Indian people really start feeling inferior. And some people, as I said, some Mayavadi leaders said that no, they kind of rejected everything, and they just said no, Shankar is the real idea, to give some legitimacy to Indian culture. And because they were Mayavadis, they only presented Mayavadi culture. Now, of course, India psychologically, culturally, geopolitically is kind of gaining its own pride, huh? The sense, okay, we have a place at the table of nations. We have put something on the moon, and we want even to change the name from India to Bharat. There has this sense of nationalism, Hindutva, which I'm not going to get into it, but I'm just saying India is rediscovering a sense of pride in its own tradition, in its own way, okay? But it's discovering a sense of pride. So for us, it's a very good opportunity to bring the Bhagavata and say, yes, you want to be proud of being India? Okay, I mean, it's not okay, but you want to be proud of being Indian? We understand you have been victimized for thousands of years, fine. For more, at least 1,000 years. Now you want to be proud, okay? But know what you need to be proud of. You need to be proud of Krishna. You have to be proud of Rama. You have to be proud of Rishabhadev. That's what you need to be proud of. One leader, Indian leader, Brahmachari, very, very important Indian leader, was telling me in private how basically he's saying, we need to go to the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and explain, look, you are so enthusiastic about, say, the Gita. Now we need to explain why you are so enthusiastic about the Gita. You're already enthusiastic, but you don't know why you're enthusiastic. All these saffron flags and all these omkaras and all this circus, okay? So we should go there. Okay, you are proud of this tradition, but you don't really know the tradition. So let us explain you the tradition for which you are enthusiastic. Let us explain you why you're enthusiastic about this tradition. So it's a good time for preaching. And at the same time, we need to be careful just not to jump on the Hindutva wagon, huh? With all the violence and discrimination that it brings. That's a not completely different, but it's a big topic. And we are at almost at the last minute. But it's a good time. It's a good time that Indians are not just trying to imitate the West, because for 50 years, 80 years, 100 years, in one sense, 200 years, the Indian intelligent people, the intelligentsia of India, tried just to imitate the West. Now, psychologically, it's shifting that no, we have something of value. They don't really know what they have of value. Clearly, it's just more like almost an animal feeling. We are Indians, you know. I mean, what does it mean? You know what I mean? Just identification with the body. Everybody's proud. Koreans are proud to be Koreans, and Nigerians are proud to be Nigerians. So just be proud to be something. It's not really advanced. But Indians have the fortune to be proud of the cradle of human civilization, the cradle of Bhakti, the place where Krishna comes. So it's a great time to tell them, look, you want to be proud of India, this is the content of your pride, this is the reason of your pride. So you need to surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, why are you proud of Krishna if you don't surrender to Krishna, right? Okay, so thank you very much. Have a great Sunday, wherever you spend that Sunday. And so that the class is officially over. You're free to go. Of course, you're always free to go, but now officially. Now, you have something to say, Manohar Prabhu? I can stay a few moments more.
It is just regarding a question which Grace Leela Priya Shama Mataji put some questions on the chat box.
Somebody needs to mute. Manohar Drija Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So there is a question from Her Grace Leela Priya Shama Mataji on the chat box. Can you just see?
Oh, let me see. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. Prabhuji, we are discussing about Jambudvip and Agnidra and his sons ruling over the kingdom in this canto. Will there be discussion about other 6 oceans and islands created by King Priyavrata in later cantos? They will be in this canto, in the 5th canto, in this canto, later on. There's more about Jambudvipa than the other concentric islands. In Jambudvipa, as I mentioned briefly, there will be in each it's a form of the Lord is worshipped. There are examples of those prayers. There are examples of great devotees who worship the Lord in this. So Jambudvipa is the central. If you take Bhumandala like a big lotus, Jambudvipa is the world. Then there are other. And then there is much more about the cosmology, about Mount Meru, about the Ganga flowing down from the top of Mount Meru. There is much more. Then there is the subterranean heavenly planets. In this canto itself, 5th canto. Hellish planet. At the end of the canto, you have the hells. But it's in this canto. Okay? Amala Charan, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes.
Prabhuji, my question is we are discussing the story of Maharaj Agnidhara. So question is Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukdev Goswami when Parikshit Maharaj was about to die. So how this story of Agnidhara is going to help him out, because the story is taking a different path. So a person who is about to die discussing about all those things, maybe which might not be relevant. So what's the conclusion basically?
Okay, see, first of all, obviously, we understand from the beginning that the curse of Maharaj Parikshit is a pretext or is an opportunity for the Bhagavatam to manifest. In fact, the sages said, they asked, but Maharaj Parikshit was protecting the world, protecting humanity, the kingdom. So why he kind of agreed to die? He could have done something to counteract or something. Why he didn't do it? So the understanding is that he was giving political protection, political cultural protection, but then the Bhagavatam, it would give protection to the old age. Krishna Svadamupagate Dharma Jnana Dvisaha Kalo Nashta Drishamisha Puranarko Dunodita. So this Bhagavatam, which is manifested through Parikshit inquiries, is protecting the world in a different level and in a much deeper level. So we need to understand that it's not just a manual how to die, you die in 7 days. It's also for everybody else. Like the Bhagavad Gita is not just for Arjuna, it's for the whole world. It's not just, oh, well, I'm not in Kurukshetra, I don't have to fight with my relatives, so what's the point of the Bhagavad Gita? No, that's the pretext for the manifestation of the Gita. So similarly, yes, Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit is very urgent, it's very important, he's going to die. He's asked, so what are the duties of somebody who is going to die? And then basically say that Ante Narayana Smriti, you got to think of Narayana at the time of death. Well, that's one of the first teachings, right? So then what is this Narayan? Okay, Narayan appears as a fish, appears as a boar, appears as Mohini, appears as Dhanvantari. No, it gets expanded, how the Lord creates the world, what happens in the world, and all that. So they have 7 days, so it's perfectly timed to include everything. It's not that just for 7 days, Krishna, 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 Krishna. It doesn't work like that. You follow? No, it's Krishna. The Bhagavatam is Krishna, and the universe is a manifestation of Krishna. So we also need to understand, just like the Bhagavad Gita says, those who in sattva go up, those who in ignorance go down. The Bhagavad Gita also say, look, the demoniac think like that there is no God, that everything comes from chance. Now you may say, well, I mean, why Arjuna needs to learn about the philosophy of the demons? No, but it's not just Arjuna, it's the whole humanity. And intelligence means discrimination. You see what works, what doesn't work. So when you study Agnidra, you can understand that, okay, even greatly Vedic people, very pious, great Kshatriya, good Kshatriya, if they have attachment, they end up in trouble. And you will see, for instance, you'll see Maharaj Nabhi, he puts Rishabhadev on the throne, then he goes to Bharadarikashram. But Agnidra is not able to do that. He's just thinking of Purvachitti. So the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami, it tells the whole story, the whole path of bhakti, the things that go well and things that don't go well. People get cursed to become a demon, and people who go to hell or Indra, it becomes, he gets, I don't know, 1,000 years in that lotus stem. That would come in 6th canto because of the offenses. So it's the whole package. It's not just like chant Hare Krishna and be happy, or chant Hare Krishna and die. It's understanding the whole situation. So it's perfectly timed. In fact, there are a third of the Bhagavad, about a third it's Krishna Lila, like the 10th canto. But before coming to the Krishna, you need to understand who is this Krishna, who is Narayan, what is the world, how you go up, how you go down in the world. Then, when you're in the 10th canto, you see the Rasa Lila, then you understand, okay, this is divine. Otherwise, we make the same mistake that basically the whole India does. They think, okay, Krishna is nice, but he's very sexy God, and he's very erotic, and why he marry, he dances with other people, wife. They don't understand anything. They don't understand anything because they don't have the 9th canto, because they're not trained. There is a story. There was a very ignorant lady, totally illiterate, and she wanted the son to be educated. She didn't want the son to be ignorant like she was. So then she gets a teacher, and the teacher comes home, and she's not following the lessons, but she's in the kitchen cooking, doing something. So she hears A, B, C, A, B, C, okay? Then this tutor comes every day, comes for 1 year, 2 years. After 3 years, the teacher is teaching geometry, and now he's teaching triangles. And so he's saying a triangle has got 3 sides, A, B, C, A, B, C, right? So she's still in the kitchen, not following, but she hears the teacher saying A, B, C, A, B, C. So she comes out of the kitchen completely furious, and she starts beating the teacher, say, "You're cheating me. You're cheating me. It's 3 years I'm paying you, and you're still teaching A, B, C." She didn't understand anything. That one is alphabet, one is geometry. You may use similar symbols, but it's completely different topic. So similarly, people don't understand Krishna Lila is divine. Krishna Lila is the most intimate pastimes of God. But because they have not trained, so they say, oh, a boy, a girls, and these girls are not his wives, it's very bad, very immoral. Yeah, it's nice, aesthetically it's nice, but it's very immoral. So, so what was your question? Why is, because the Bhagavatam is very didactic. It just tells everything for us also, not just for Maharaj Parikshit, but in the economy of the discussion, in the economy of the presentation, everything has a place. Now, Maharaj Parikshit is not going to hell, but Shukadeva Goswami speaks about hell. And Maharaj Parikshit had no desire to go to Pritriloka, but no, it is part of the curriculum. Just like, in any school, some things may be more urgent and relevant for you, but you also study literature, you study history, you study geography. Is that clear? Is that more okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, otherwise, they could have just done a bhajan. See, Maharaj Parikshit was already a great devotee. Okay, he's a grandson of the Pandavas. Imagine what family he grew up into. Okay, and so they could have just done a 7-day bhajan, no kirtan mela, 7 days, Haribo, finish. But Bhagavatam is for us. It's not just for Parikshit. Okay, we have Lila Priya Sham Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I want to thank you for answering my question, which I sent on chat. And Prabhuji, if at present time I want to know that, like we are talking about Jambu Dweep, so we are talking about this world, this at present, like the earth, we are talking about, it happened on this earth planet.
See, Srila Prabhupada says it's very difficult to understand where Priyavrata was. Because Jambudvipa, it's the center of Bhumandala, the Bharata Varsha, you could say India, or you could say the whole Bhugolam, the whole earth of our experience is part of Jambudvipa. The rest are heavenly planets. So yesterday I tried to introduce the concept that Sadaputa Prabhu explained these things, that many of the things he expresses with terms which are familiar to us, like Himalayas, but it's not talking of the Himalaya you see from your window in Delhi, or those are part of that dimension. Because those Himalayas, if I'm not mistaken, they are 80,000 miles long. And that's obviously not much more than what we see, the Himalayas. So the Bhagavatam is saying, just like I said, that I don't know if you remember the first day, Priyavrata is in Gandhamadana place, okay? And sometimes Gandhamadana is part of Jambudvipa, is part of heavenly planets. Sometimes she'll probably explain, okay, it's at the very north, and north is part of the Himalayas. So when you this Bhumandala is difficult to understand, because it's like certain things are from the point of view of the devatas, not from the point of view of us. It's like if you say, how far is Delhi? How far is Mumbai from Delhi? Now, for a businessman, it's what, 2 hours, right? How far is Mumbai from Delhi? 2 hours. But somebody, if you say that 200 years ago, whoa, how 2 hours? It takes 10 days by car, by horse, no? So, well, it's the same thing, but you don't have access to that. So it's true that it's 2 hours, but maybe not for people 200 years ago, and not for people who don't have money to buy a ticket. You saw how this big, let's call it even a tragedy, during the pandemic, how people tried to get out of Delhi, right? And go to their village. You remember, right? Three years ago, you remember? People tried to just escape Delhi at the pandemic, get there to their village, try to get a bus, try to get something. So for them, their village in Bihar is 10 days, 15 days of walking. For a businessman in Delhi, Patna is 2 hours, 1.5 hours. Okay? So even in this, our experience, so when you say, so Jambudvipa, we don't have access to the old Jambudvipa. In fact, we don't even have access to the whole earth. When you say Naranarayan Rishi is in Badarika Shrama, that's not a Badrinath that you can go with a bus. You follow? When you do Chardham, that's not there. It's a different place. So it is said Kapila Deva is still in the Bay of Bengal meditating. But when you go there, Ganga Sagar, you don't see Kapila Deva. So similarly, the Dham, Vrindavan, Mayapur, it is said there's certain dimensions. It's even offensive to calculate the dimension because it's a different dimension. Radhakunda, Shyamakunda, okay, there are an aspect that we see, we go, we bathe, but then there is another aspect of the Dham, which is eternal and is manifested at a different dimension. And then that dimension, it's accessed by meditation, by great acharyas, by great devotees. They can enter. Even the first canto, you have this when Parikshit Maharaj meets the bull and the cow, right, Dharma and Bhumi, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that meeting, it's on a subtle dimension. It's not just the normal bull and cow that you meet in the streets. The meeting and the exchange, of course, first of all, is the cow who speaks and the bull who speaks. So, but it gets at a different dimension. I really encourage you to read this book that I shared, this cosmology astronomy, because Sadaputra Prabhu explains very nice and explains very nicely also that this cannot just be some primitive mythology. Cannot be. Yesterday I said, because like Bhumandala, the sun is horizontal. If you go even to the most remote Adivasi in Chhattisgarh, they know the sun doesn't go like this. You follow? So obviously they're talking about certain other things. And then Sadaputra Prabhu explained that the knowledge of astronomy was very sophisticated, even numerically or mathematically. So these people knew astronomy, but they knew also other dimensions that we don't have access, and we don't have access. I mean, even in this world, we don't have access to many places. You go to a hospital, you say, "Look, I want to see the surgery." They don't give you access, right? Even in the city, even in the own city, you don't have access to many places. You go to Lok Sabha, you can't just go, "I want to go in the Lok Sabha." Say, "Who are you? Do you have an invitation? Do you have somebody who sponsors you?" Right? So, yes, Shukadeva Goswami is giving a description of a universe which is valid, which is accurate, but he might describe in one illustration different dimensions simultaneously. That's what Sadaputra Prabhu explained. And one thing I like very much in that book that all cultures in the world had this idea of what they call the Middle Earth, this Bhumandala type of thing that divides like the kingdom of the devas, the gods, and the kings of the nether region. But it was forgotten. So.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. I'm very much curious to know about the other oceans also, like the Milk Ocean, sugarcane.
There is not much. There is not much. Obviously, even those oceans are this substance. You can call it milk. You can call, but may not be the milk we understand, or maybe not the milk in the sense of what do you call it? If you leave the milk like this, it goes like into curd. It goes bad, right? So these oceans apparently don't go bad. So yes, we call it milk, but may not be the milk of our experience. Even in Greek religion, Greek old religion, they say that these gods, they drink nectar and they eat ambrosia. But now you have many like juice, they call it nectar, right? Mango nectar, but it's not the nectar of the gods. Now the gods in Olympus, they were not drinking this pack juice, what you call real juice, or this juice. You call it the same thing, but it may be a completely different thing. What's the problem? I mean, salt. Why no? We are see. There was a mathematician, famous mathematician. It was Hungarian. His name was von Neumann. And he was considered a great mathematician. And then there was a student who once approached him and said, "Professor, I don't understand this thing." And he looked at him. Von Neumann looked at him and said, "Son, in mathematics, you don't understand things. You just get accustomed to it." In other words, there are certain, even in human mathematics, I'm not talking about addition, subtractions. Human mathematics, there are certain equations so complex that you don't really understand. You kind of, okay, you accept, and it works because you apply, it works, but you just get accustomed to it. See, Einstein said, you can live this life in two ways. One is that nothing is a miracle. Two, everything is a miracle. You can live life like this. You can say nothing is a miracle. You know, there are these forces, strong, weak, electromagnetic, gravity. Things are moving. Then life comes, and and bacteria comes, and elephant comes, and nothing is a miracle, really, right? There's no God. It's just chance and things moving, atoms moving and becoming stuff. Sometimes they become a rat. Sometimes they become an eagle. So there's no meaning, okay? So you can live life like this, or you can live life that everything is a miracle. You see a mosquito, and this mosquito is a miracle. How complex, how fine-tuned, how technological is a mosquito. So I remember once I saw this, Asterix, that comic book, Asterix. You know Asterix? This French guy, So there was Asterix and Obelix. Obelix is the fat guy. So, and then there is this druid. Druid was like a brahmana, right? Like a shaman. He had all these potions. So this druid, Getafix, gives him a special liquid. Okay? He gives a special liquid. When you put this liquid in the ground, a huge tree comes immediately. So then Asterix takes this liquid, put a few drops in the ground, and boom, a big tree comes. And he was, wow, Obelix, have you seen? But Obelix was not surprised, was just, Asterix tells him, look, how fast it grew. And Obelix said, I don't know how fast trees grow. In other words, I don't know how fast a tree grows. They grow very fast. I don't know. Maybe all the trees grow so fast. In other words, in his experience, for him, he didn't have any reference how tree grows. He's a very simple guy. The fat guy is a very simple guy. He just wants to eat and fight. That's all. So he's not like philosophical or anything. He's grow up in the forest. He sees so many trees. He doesn't think how long it takes to grow a tree. So when he sees a tree growing immediately, he doesn't feel surprised. He just, I don't know. Okay, please grow fast. Fine. In other words, they accept that, okay, maybe trees grow like this. So we see a cow, the cow as a calf, and the calf after 1 minute is already walking, right? Right? For a human takes 1 year. But okay, cows walk after 1 minute. Hare Krishna, what's the problem? You understand? Okay. There are 20 quadrillion ants on this world. 20 quadrillion means 20 followed by 15 zeros. It's a huge number. And there are thousands of species. And again, when we see ants, we think, yeah, ants. Just sweep them away. Please go. I'm just saying, we are already in a world that's mystical, that it's divine, that's miraculous, that it's inconceivable, but we just become accustomed. Okay, there are ants. Why there are ants? How they survive? They're so small. How they're organized? How ants organize? They don't have memos. They don't have internet. They don't have writing. It seems they don't even have a language. How they are so organized, we don't know, but it happens. So when we hear something about the rest of the universe, we should be open-minded that, yeah, there are so many things that I don't understand in this world or mystical in this. Or, the famous story of Narada Muni goes to a cobbler, right? And they say, well, okay, to make it long story short, he says, okay, you went to see Narayan, what he was doing? Oh, he was putting an elephant through the eye of a needle. Well, great. Well, Narada Muni said, but you're not surprised? No, not surprised. How can you not surprised? How can you put an elephant in the eye of a needle? Well, my Lord puts the old banyan tree. It was a huge banyan tree. In one small seed, you can put an elephant through the eye of a needle. He puts the old banyan trees. I mean, you're in India. Some banyan trees are huge, huge. He puts all that information in a microscopic seed. Is it normal? When you study the cell is as complex as a modern city. A cell, a single cell. So, but okay, cells are complex as a modern city. Okay, we don't think. No, but then when you hear Bhumanda, oh, wow, Bhumandala, how can he post? So, in other words, we are daily in touch with information which is beyond our comprehension. But, okay, the DNA, okay? The DNA, when it unwinds at the speed which is superior to the speed of any machine ever created by man. So imagine an unimaginable speed. Imagine an unimaginable speed. That happens all the time. In every cell, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. How it happens? Where is that energy? Where is that energy? Where that energy comes from? So we are in a very mystical. In fact, Sariputta Prabhu gives the title, one title of a book. I sent the link yesterday. mysteries of the sacred universe. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this word is like a dictionary of the spiritual world, or Jagat Vichitra. It's marvelous, but we become accustomed, we become habituated. So for us, it's like, oh, a tree is growing. Oh, there is fruit. The mango comes mango from a tree. Okay. Unfortunately, human beings, they stop thinking. Really, they stop thinking of what they become very dull. Like a dog. A dog can't understand that from a seed comes a tree. The dog can see the tree. The dog can see the fruit. They can see the flowers. The dog see, but he doesn't understand this seed becomes a tree, or the seasons and things. He doesn't understand. So human beings are becoming like dogs in the sense that they stop wondering at nature. They just take everything for granted. And because there are these demons, and Krishna calls them demons, that they say, no, it's all chance, things just happen, it's nothing. So we are influenced by atheism in every day, because we don't see the sacredness of the objects, or we throw food. My family once visited Syria before the war in Syria, okay? They went to vacation in Syria. They told me there was a piece of bread in the street, and one child just took this piece of bread with great respect, touched it. So in that culture, even a piece of bread is sacred. It's precious. You have to be grateful. And in this modern culture, now we throw food, we throw tons of food in the sea, we destroy everything. So we become insensitive. And then, of course, when we hear Bhumanda, oh, why can't it possible? We become like we start becoming, and it's natural. I'm not criticizing you. It's natural. Yes, these are things beyond our experience. We don't have access. It's like the poor guy who says, how is Mumbai 2 hours from Delhi? How Mumbai is 2 hours from Delhi? I had to walk 15 days to get there. But for the demigods, what to speak of the demigods? You have your hand up, Manohar Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So it is all the questions are answered. It is just it is just for the last comment that we know that I have been inactive in the last few days of the lectures, but we really relished your lectures, and I just want to submit my request for your continuous association for the next unit to come. So it is just to submit my request of seeking your association. That's it. And we have really relished your, even if we are not active on the lecture, we have been looking at the lectures in the evening when we are free, when we have the download from the YouTube. We are looking at the lectures and complete our assignments. So please don't think that we are not active in the lecture. There are some, some sometimes we could not be on the camera, but we download the lectures in the evening when we are really on the YouTube. We take the lecture and complete.
So this is all on YouTube?
Yes, it's all on YouTube. So
so maybe you can send me the link.
Yeah. So I just want to seek my request for the association of yours in the next assignment. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the lectures.
No, I already committed with Bimla Prashad to do another couple of weekends.
Yeah, if possible. So please,
Krishna willing, we should be able to. So in the next 3 chapters, there is more philosophy, more teaching than description of universal wonders. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the plan. But thank you. So, Rukmini Hari
Yeah,
said
Hare
in
Krishna,
Mataji.
able to understand stage. It is really spiritual. It
Huh?
is really spiritually uplifting.
I didn't understand.
It's really spiritually uplifting.
Uplift, of course, is the Bhagavatam.
Information.
Yeah. It's not me, it's the Bhagavatam. It's Shukadeva Goswami and the Acharyas. I'm just a Melecha who somehow got in touch with this knowledge. Leela Priyasham Mataji.
Prabhuji, I had the same request that you kindly continue this, teaching us. We are really, truly relishing this katha from you. That's what I had to say. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
I'm glad you find some use, some inspiration. Okay, so thank you very much. Shall we close here? So, Krishna willing, we'll see each other next Saturday. Okay? Have a great Sunday and a great Ekadasi. Today is Ekadasi there too, right? Okay. Thank you. See you. Jai Grantara, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. You want to say something, Rukmini Mataji? Your hand is still up. No, it's okay.
Mataji wrote something on the chat, Prabhuji.
Please bless us continuing your precious spiritual uplifting association. Your association is also uplifting for me. It's not just one way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.